Welcome, everybody, to the second ever episode of Rose Tinted Reels. This is a special day.
Right.
Of course I did. It's my show. I would, of course, get this sort of thing right. It would be silly for me to get it wrong. Do you think I would ever do that?
You are silly.
It's not an answer to the question.
Yes.
Do you think I would do it wrong?
Well, so in the grand scheme of the world, something that you should know about our friend Mr. Zach is that he often calls things not by their proper name and assumes that you should be, understanding what the random thing is, which is all well and good until you accidentally pick it up. Like
Or
what
you start
call
doing that?
popcorn.
Yeah. What?
You called them pap smears.
But that's not. Come on. I may have done that for a second.
For an extended period of time of your life. I would love some pap smear. Yeah, it was all fun and games until I accidentally said that at work, not realizing that it leaked into my conversation.
And how was that received by your coworkers?
They blinked and assumed it was some kind of Freudian slip.
You're due for one?
Yeah, or something. Yeah.
I see. Well, yeah. So today we're doing the Casablanca movie. And I'm really looking forward to talking to you about this.
Me too, because I didn't know that Zach had watched it already, and he was ready to talk about it early on in the week.
Yep.
And I just so badly wanted to know if he liked it.
Well, I can't tell you that until the very end because that's how our structure is. Speaking of, do you have the structure in front of you?
I do. So we are currently in section 1 of Chit Chat.
Do you think we've achieved chit chat?
I think we have chitted and chatted.
I don't know. That doesn't seem like enough chit chat. How's your life been?
Well, so far so good. Mark and I are planning our wedding, and I had a little bit of a false scare with the venue called to say that they've canceled weddings at that venue for the remainder of the year due to COVID-19, which was fine because mine was originally supposed to be in October, now scheduled for March. And I was like, well, you're calling me to tell me this. Do you have plans of canceling the weddings in March? And she's like, not yet. I'm like, that's optimistic.
She plans to do it, though?
Well, it's not really up to her. So the venue where Mark and I are going to get married is part of the Johns Hopkins properties. Mm-hmm. So they are bound to proceed in the same guidelines that the schools are for school procedures.
I see. I guess that makes sense. I mean, it is a large crowd of folks.
It is. And, Mark and I agree it's safety first, that we don't. At this point, if they do cancel again, I think we are going to look to just do something different, maintain safety, but something different. It's just one of those things.
Yeah. But, I mean, your wedding is going to be on a beach. So I feel like it's open air in a forest, in a wide open spaces in Montana.
It was supposed to be in a library.
Oh, did you not get the changes?
No, gosh.
See, Mark and I have talked about it, and we think that it would be good
to go to Montana?
Yes.
So instead,
beautiful landscapes there.
Wide open, low population.
See? COVID doesn't go there.
That's not true.
Well, how could you possibly know? Nobody's ever been.
We're going to be like the frogs in The Simpsons, being brought into Australia and suddenly the frogs spread. We are going to bring the COVID to Montana.
Which really happened in England. We brought the black squirrel.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, and it killed all the red squirrels that
poor.
were indigenous to England.
That's kind of sad. Now I'm depressed.
Is it, though? I mean, American pride. Where's your American pride? We brought the strong squirrels, killed all the weak squirrels.
But
the weak English squirrels. They should feel bad about themselves.
But we will never get to see the charm of a red squirrel.
Charm. They were weak.
They
needed to be eradicated by the strong Americans.
If the rats didn't eradicate them.
We probably could bring stronger rats to eradicate the rats.
Yeah, real talk. Let's talk about some Baltimore rats because
that's not even a joke.
They could take on my cats. Like I'm not going into politics, but or DC rats also, not just Baltimore. I happen to live in the Baltimore area. But I've seen some scary raccoon-sized rats in DC also.
Oh, well, in Baltimore, though, I mean, they take steroids there.
Oh my gosh, they are ready to defend. They're
Not even defend. They're on the attack. They're aggressive.
Have you ever heard of a king rat?
No.
That is a terrifying thing. It's when the rats get mangled and tied together, their tails kind of get knotted and they kind of move in this like unison. They're not really a single entity, but they kind of are. Just
But the thing is, they can't get themselves unstuck from each other, so they will die.
Yeah, it's sad and disgusting.
Yes, it was very sad. I didn't know it was called a king rat, though. That's horrible. Why does it get such a royal sounding name for such a cruel act of nature?
I have no idea.
Scientists are disgusting.
Or they have a macabre sense of humor.
That too. All right. So let's move on to section 2, which is our listener reviews and comments. Do we have any for this week?
Actually, we do. My friend Matt said, "Oh, you have a podcast?" My friend Matt Fontaine and I, we have this, it's been going on for years where we would assign each other things to watch. The guideline on that was to make sure that we were assigning things we thought the other person would like, movies or TV specifically. It's been a little difficult lately because I feel like we've both seen such a wide network of things. He will not watch any horror movies that are not on this 1001 movies to see before you die list. He just is very anti-horror movie. And he always
What's his glitch? Why does he hate the horrors?
I don't think he sees the value in a lot of them because there's not a lot of unique or changing things happening in them.
Can I blow your mind?
Go on.
I agree with him.
Well, there's always exceptions to the rule, though, and I think both you and he agree to that.
Oh, absolutely. I like a lot of horror movies, but I'm picky. I think I'm more picky than most of our friends.
I would agree with that.
Although I think I'm coming around. I am on board with the campiness of most horror movies.
You've been willing to participate in films you would have otherwise neglected because of peer pressure. This is true.
Yeah.
And you can laugh at the things that other people probably were not supposed to laugh at.
Well, that's true. That is certainly true. But I also feel like I'm getting an appreciation for the bad.
You're becoming a different sort of rounded. I'm not going to say well-rounded, but rounded.
Unwell-rounded.
Yeah.
Whereas I felt like before, I was rounded. I was very nicely rounded. But I was misshapen by my friend in a good way.
Okay. Yeah.
I was misshapen by my friends.
By your preconceived notions.
And I think that's what this podcast is about. You're trying to misshape me in another way.
It's true. And this is... We're trying to touch on a lot of genres here, but for a while it seemed that you respected or had respect, and correct me if I'm wrong, for films that had a certain artistic merit, like the Tron Legacy films, which are beautiful. You seem to be drawn to the more beautiful, but there's some ugly girls who have a lot of character.
I will correct you there because nobody had... No, I'm just... No, it's not just visual beauty. I think there's artistic merit in the writing, in the framing of, a shot, like the cinematography. So not just the beautiful, but the well thought out.
And I guess I shouldn't
acting choices
box you in because you do have a deep appreciation for clever dialogue.
That too, yeah. So no, it's definitely I was more picky in the past with movies because I won't call it a snobbishness, but I wanted them to at least strive.
Oh, do call it a snob.
I wanted them to strive for greatness. Is that so much to ask?
It's not that you were mad. You were disappointed.
Exactly. I will say that about horror movies. I wasn't angry at them. I was just disappointed. They didn't live up to their potential.
I expected more from you, Satan.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a horror movie that I would have disliked in the past that I now have an appreciation for.
I'm trying to think of one that was recent. I think you enjoyed the Conjuring films, but I don't think you enjoyed the religious aspects of the exorcism plot point.
Well, I've only seen the third.
You saw the first, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-mm.
Oh, well, that's going on the list.
Is that going on the list?
Yeah. Oh, you saw the second one, the one in England, because we saw that at a very late night theater situation.
Yeah.
The first attempt we had was just full of teenagers, and none of us had the stomach for it.
Was that the one where I was not there? Because I remember we did go to a movie where I think we walked out. Was I part of that, or was that a different movie?
That was that one, because we ended up going to a later night show. We went for a refund at the concessions clerk and just explained it's full of unattended teenagers. We can't sit through this film because they were acting so poorly before the movie even started.
Yeah, a bunch of youths.
Yeah.
We can't be dealing with youths.
I'm sorry, what is a ute?
And I have seen that movie.
My cousin Vinny.
Yes.
Good dialogue.
Very good dialogue.
Yeah.
Well acted.
Yeah.
Marissa Tomei won the Oscar by accident.
Yeah. Yeah. She was great. I love her.
Yeah.
Was that Oscar worthy?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think more Oscar worthy was her performance in Spider-Man.
As the hot Aunt May?
Yep, I'm throwing that down.
Okay. Well,
Was there ever a depiction of her in the comics as hot?
no. Not that I'm aware
as
of.
milfy?
So for me, and I know I'm going to get hate for this, Spider-Man is my least favorite of them. Because
I'm swiveling my microphone to look away from you.
well, it's just
I'm looking outside
very
at the
much
plants.
a
It's really nice. She's got some rosemary growing out there.
emo kind of
A little bit of,
hero, and
I don't know what that is.
I just didn't appreciate it.
Looks like an afro.
That is time.
Okay, is it really time?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll look back at you, but that disappointed me.
Well, it's
That hurt my heart. What's wrong with him? I wasn't listening. I was actually looking at your plants.
so it's just he will always be that emo Tobey Maguire. Not even from the third movie.
That's the only one he was an emo in.
No, he was kind of emotional in all of them. When he had the little snot bubble with the Uncle Ben stuff.
His uncle, his father figure died. Of course he's crying and it's not bubbling.
Yeah.
That doesn't make him an emo. That's a normal thing.
Yeah.
Come
Batman
on.
did it better.
Well,
Those were his actual parents. No, I'm
what-
kidding. I'm
Jesus
kidding.
Christ. Something's happened, Allison.
I'm totally
She's
kidding.
joining the Nazi party.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that was one of my first lines that I wrote down in my notes. 1941, when this film came out that we're going to discuss, and we knew Nazis were bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Back then, we were aware that Nazis were not on the right track toward building the better city. But there are good people on both sides. I think you'll agree, right?
If I had
Tiki
the
torches.
opportunity to throw a drink in Zach's face, I would have.
What, you're afraid of doing it because you'll ruin my microphone?
Well, that and I'm enjoying my nice little Pellegrino water.
Oh, okay. Well, here, I'll enjoy some of my energy drink. You go ahead. Take over.
Okay. So I'm going to set the landscape a little bit for our film. Today we are discussing, as we said before, the wonderful, beautiful, lovely, romantic, and action-packed Casablanca.
Hold on one moment. We went off on like 5 tangents off of tangents. What did your friend think about the podcast?
Oh, he didn't listen to it.
That was so much build up for what? I thought you were going to say he loved it or he hated it. I thought the section is listener feedback, and you brought him up, so I thought he had some feedback.
No, the feedback was, oh, you have one?
Oh, I thought that would have then prompted him to listen to it.
Oh, no, I didn't give him the link.
Oh, all right. So nobody's listened to it. We have no listener feedback yet.
As far as I know, I need to get our social media page developed on like the Facebook channel.
Oh, yeah. I didn't create a Twitter or a Facebook yet,
Yeah.
but I did make a Reddit, and I believe you're an admin on it.
Yes, you sent me the information for the
Yeah.
Reddit page. Age issue. I don't know how to Reddit.
Sure you do. It's a forum.
Oh, okay. So it's I've been sent links to Reddit chains that have been very entertaining, but I've never participated.
I think Reddit's great. I mean, like any good internet tool, it's got the power to give a platform to bad people.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's good. The good stuff usually rises to the top. They've got a voting system in there for comments and for the posts themselves. They can foster really good communities. They're better for discussion than things like Twitter.
Oh, okay.
So it's a maybe like I would say it's even better than Facebook for like a long form conversation, like having a thread on a certain topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will immerse myself in it. I just have not done so before. I always thought it was kind of like the dressed up 4chan.
Well, I mean it's a more polished version of any forum.
Okay.
So are you volunteering to be the social media person?
I will do it for the channels that I am comfortable with. Like I'm more comfortable using the Facebook platform, potentially responding to tweets if we get a Twitter. I just don't understand the nuances of Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
So I will have to have a bit of training. And I'm making myself sound very old. I'm not that old. I'm a little old. Not that.
No comment.
Yeah. Zach is also like 10 years my
What? It's not that much.
when were you born?
91. But at the beginning of 91.
Oh, I was born in 85.
No, so you think you're so much better than me.
You think you're so superior.
You think you're so superior over there, lording it over me. You got a couple of years.
Oh, so I was quoting Empire Records, which is a film you need to see.
Oh, I did. When I was very young, I saw some of that movie.
And that is why it's on the list.
Okay. I remember liking what I saw.
Yeah. So Casablanca.
Yeah.
It came out in December. Oh, I'm sorry. It came out in 1942. To set the global stage a little bit, World War II started in September of 1939, but the U.S. did not enter into the war until December of 1941. So when Casablanca was filming and originally came out, it would have been right at the start of when the U.S. entered the World War II.
So, what I know of this, I watched some videos on YouTube just to see what other people were saying, and it seemed like everybody was kind of hitting the same points. Mm-hmm. But one thing that I liked was that the main character, Humphrey Bogart, Ricky, mm-hmm. Young Rick, mm-hmm. he was supposed to be representative of America, mm-hmm. just chilling out, being isolationist, and not taking a side, and kind of pretending to be as cynical as the French military men.
But he also would indicate, but you're a sentimentalist at heart.
And that's true. And he was a romantic and sentimentalist, and that's why he did help the young couple.
I loved that scene so much.
And that's also why at the end he didn't get the girl. He forced the lady mm-hmm. to go with the far superior man.
Because of what she meant to the movement. And
do you think that's what it was?
So the interesting factoid about the movie, some trivia, is Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman were never sure if Rick and Ilsa were supposed to actually love each other. And the director didn't know. So he said, play both sides. So they were always playing both sides of the I love you, I don't love you field.
See, and I think I registered some of that, and that's why I didn't think their romance was very compelling.
It was beautiful in a way, but it did feel like I could see Rick's little end story that he ends up telling to Laszlo. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves in the dissection of the film.
It's true.
We're trying to stay more on our format, so that way we don't accidentally get you guys another 2-hour program.
You know what? I think people are okay with that because they can always stop and start and pick up another time. A long podcast isn't really a problem, I don't think.
Well, to use the McCloskey butt method, I'm hoping that we don't make people's butts too sore.
If your butt gets sore, hit pause, go for a jog.
Come back.
Or listen while you're jogging.
Either way. I have to have tunes when I jog. I can walk to podcasts, but I can't jog to podcasts.
I used to run a lot, and I would listen to audiobooks. Podcasting sometimes, but audiobooks, I felt like it was the long-term commitment that would allow me to continue running. Because I was like, all right, I'm not going to stop running until I get to the end of this chapter.
I need to pace myself to a beat. Like I need a... So I had a very specific kind of workout mix, which if anyone listened to, you'd be like, yep, you are a product of the 90s.
Well, what are some of the songs?
Oh, God. So, like... Let the Bodies Hit the Floor was on there.
Was that 90s? I would have figured that was early
2000s. Yeah. It had some
but that's a classic.
DMX on there, some Papa Roach.
Yeah.
Rammstein.
See, now you're talking my language.
The Fly Has Returned.
Oh, my God.
There's an invader in my house today, a little...
Allison's been acting like Walter White from the episode of Breaking Bad where there was a fly in his laboratory. She's just been walking around, staring him down with a Hoover in her hand.
It is not a Hoover. It is a
Dyson.
And I cannot say enough good things about Dyson, even though we are not sponsored.
I was going to say,
Dyson.
we're not being... Don't say nice things about any branded product unless we're getting paid for it.
So far, I've name-dropped 2 brands today, Pellegrino Water and...
Again?
and Dyson. Anyway, so Casablanca, starring Humphrey Bogart as Rick, Ingrid Bergman as Ilsa Lund, Dooley Wilson as Sam, Claude Rains as Captain Renaud, and Paul Henreid as Victor Laszlo. And my favorite random, very much typecasted character, Peter Lorre, who played Ugart. So Peter Lorre is often referenced, oddly enough, in cartoons, and is still referenced today in like Looney Tunes, Animaniacs, Tiny Toons. And, you know, extremely young Allison had no idea who this character was and didn't understand why he was repeated in a bunch of things. But
I had the same thoughts when I was young.
Yeah, I got pictures of him, and it was only recently...
Just closer to the mic.
It was only recently when I watched Arsenic and Old Lace that I put 2 and 2 together that he is always the same kind of character.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, great character actors, they're fun to kind of observe in that way.
Now, I wonder who plays him in the cartoons.
That's a good question because...
I wonder if it's some classics.
I think it's, you know, there's a lot of characters who kind of pull from that voice. I think the guy who does the voice of the Brain from Pinky and the Brain...
Maurice LaMarche.
I believe he did Peter Lamar. Peter Lorre, not Peter Lamar.
I can see that. He's got exactly that kind of voice. He also does a really good Orson Welles.
I've heard his Orson Welles, and I think that Brain sounded very much like Orson Welles.
Yeah, he did. And I think that's what he said. It was supposed to be a combination of Orson Welles and somebody else. I can't remember. But he's a great voice actor. I love him. He was also in Futurama, notably as Kif.
Oh, that was Kif? Yes. I never knew that. Yeah. I really appreciate... I love voice actors. I think they are so talented. Yeah. I didn't realize that the voice of Fry played so many of the characters within.
Billy West, yeah. He played Zoidberg, Professor, Fry, and Zap Brannigan. And basically all the major characters. All the major male characters he was playing. Yeah. Except for Hermes and Bender.
And Hermes, you met him.
Phil Lamar.
You met Phil Lamar at AwesomeCon in D.C.
I know, and I paid him 80 of my American dollars to have him record a voicemail message for me, and it was garbled.
Oh, yeah. AwesomeCon, like most conventions, are done at convention centers, which are big cinder block squares, so the audio quality just picked up probably everything. Yeah,
exactly. And it just sounded like noise. I was so disappointed, but I kept it there for a long time because I like him so much. And
yeah.
But I also met Billy West and John DiMaggio, who plays Bender.
It's so cool.
He is like 7 feet tall.
I met at, I wasn't there to meet him. My friend Tony was, Tony Belante. We went to Monster Mania, and he was approaching the voice actor who played Ghostface in the Scream franchise movies. So when the whole premise of Scream is a call would come in and it would have this very unique voice on the end of it. I'm not going to get into any more details because that is on your list.
I've seen the first one,
Then you would know what I'm talking about.
but I only remember the end.
Well, so you have to watch it again.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Is it always the same person underneath the mask?
no.
I didn't think so.
No. So, but that voice is very unique, and it's this one voice actor. But he's also the voice actor for Mojo Jojo from
Who is that?
from the Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah.
And I
Tom Kenny?
It, no, it's
Oh, also, well, while you're looking that up, Maurice LaMarche was also Morbo and the horrible gelatinous blob in Futurama.
Roger Jackson.
Roger Jackson, I don't know him.
So he, Roger Jackson, I will pull up his fame. He does so many different voices. So he was in Mars Attacks. He was in the Scream franchise, Titan AE. Let's see, the Wild Thornberrys movie.
You know who played Nigel Thornberry, don't you?
Oh yes, Mr. Curry.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Tim Curry. So he's done a lot of voice acting in specific characters, but I just love him to death as Mojo Jojo. He just, I love it.
Yeah.
And it was very fun because when I met him, I was like, I love Mojo Jojo. And he went into full Mojo Jojo voice for me.
Did he?
Yeah, he's like, you are very wise to like Mojo Jojo.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, when I met Billy West, and actually when I met all three of the voice actors I've met, they did voices, but John DiMaggio performed a whole scene for me.
That's so cool.
It was really good.
That always trips me up to watch the voice actors in their human bodies do an entire scene, because I've seen that for like Bob's Burgers where they've recorded that online, or The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Futurama did a full movie. I think it was one of the movies, or maybe it was just one of the episodes, live. At Comic-Con, they did a live reading of the entire episode with all the actors.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Anyway, so back to the trivia. So I would like to play a little game with Zach called Ingrid or Isabella.
All right.
So as I said before, Ingrid Bergman is the leading lady of this film. Her daughter is Isabella Rossellini, who is also an actress. And to me, they look so eerily similar. I have trouble differentiating when there's two black and white photos next to each other, and I want to see if this is a uniquely Allyson problem or if Zach may participate. Now, full disclosure, I did take some of the pictures and make them black and white to make it more of a challenge.
So my thought was that I'll be able to cheat because her daughter's pictures will probably look better or more clear because they would be newer. Okay. So top left is her daughter, top right is her.
Okay.
Hairstyles. For the bottom, I'm going to go bottom right daughter, bottom left is her.
Very good. You did it.
Yeah.
So hairstyles were a little hard to rule out because in the 40s and 50s there was definitely more volume and very specifically styled hair. And so I just thought that was a fun game to play just because they look so similar.
All right, so my game, I'll say I have a small game for you, just 3 questions. It's a little quiz. Okay. And I think I'm going to start doing this from now on because these are movies that you're introducing to me, so I have to assume you know everything about them.
That's a dangerous assumption.
So the first one is going to be easy. It's only 3 questions, and I feel like they're broad enough that most cinema people might know them.
Okay.
So I'll ask you at the very end.
Okay. So you're going to let me sit here in anxiety waiting for the questions.
Yes.
You're like one of those pop quiz teachers.
I am. There's going to be a quiz. I'm not going to tell you when.
Okay. So some trivia about 1942. And this hurt my soul to read or to see. The
movie
average cost... Oh, sorry.
So the movie came out in 42?
Yes, the movie came out in 42.
Okay.
It came out just in time for Thanksgiving, November of 1942.
Was it rushed? I think I read that the release was rushed for some reason.
That I don't know.
I think it was rushed for so that soldiers could see it before going off to Africa.
That would make sense.
I think that's what I read.
I will say that it was an over-budget film, but still a few $1 million shy of some other films that came out around the time that were equally as critically reviewed, like The Wizard of Oz, which we were speaking about earlier, which was around $4 million to make, and Citizen Kane, which was, I think, was about $3.5 million. So this film cost just
That's a lot.
over $1 million, and this is 1940s money.
I know,
Yeah.
which is basically pretend money.
Yeah. So the average cost of a new house was $3,770.
How much?
$3,770.
Those guys had it easy. I'm going to say this every time. Those boomers, they had it easy.
Well, average wage per year was $1,880.
I don't want excuses.
And to rent, it was $35 a month.
$35 a month?
Yeah,
That actually
average.
seems high compared to what it is to buy.
New car, $920. Are you depressed? I'm depressed.
Yes. Although cars back there were garbage.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'm going to get into an argument with somebody who's a big automotive buff, you know, and having appreciation for classic cars. And some of them look okay, I guess. But, I mean, they really were garbage.
They were meant to be something that could be changed out. I feel like they were a status symbol. You wanted that new looking one, like like in Shape of Water. He's like, ooh, but this one's mint green and new.
But even like 70s cars, I think, are garbage. And a lot of them look kind of nice. But you just can't argue that the suspension was terrible. The safety was ridiculous. So if you bumped into a wall, the car would just bend up into itself.
Try not to run into too many walls.
Or another car, whatever. But yeah, they were just god awful, terrible machines.
Let's see. Italian physicist Enrico Fermi created the first nuclear chain reaction in his lab at the University of Chicago on December 2nd of that year.
All right. I'm aware of Fermi.
And Bambi released. So we got...
That was the same year Bambi came out?
Yep.
Wow.
So we have World War II, nuclear chain reactions, and Bambi.
That was a depressing year.
1942,
Mainly because of Bambi.
Yeah, Bambi's mom. No one was the same. No one was the same again.
all the crazy things happening on the world stage are nothing compared to Bambi's mom dying.
It was awful. It was awful. I saw a picture once of all of the Disney villains, and there was a random hunter in the mix, and he explained, "Oh, I'm the hunter that shot Bambi's mom." Automatically, the worst villain. Cruella de Vil was there, and she killed lots of animals. But for some reason, because we knew Bambi
Had a mommy.
had a mom, he was the worst.
I don't remember seeing the hunters. I don't remember much of Bambi.
You
to
don't
be
see
honest.
the hunters. It was a joke.
Oh, so they were just showing
it was
somebody.
just a guy in like overalls and plaid.
Was it like a live
Flannel.
picture or a
Yeah.
cartoon? Okay.
Oh yeah, it was live. And just sad. Casablanca was nominated for 8 total Academy Awards, winning Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Screenplay. And it was the American Film Institute nominated it for the Best Script and Best Screenplay of all time. So it cost a mere 1 million versus its counterparts, Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind, which Gone with the Wind also was one of those films that cost multiple millions of dollars versus its mere 1 million.
So I haven't seen Gone with the Wind, but from what I've seen, it takes place in a house.
So
Yes.
it had these big kind of landscape warp scenes, big dramatic views. I think they were all taking place on sets, but still just like these big sprawling views.
So it was showing war scenes and things like that.
More like aftermath of war. Like I don't remember any specific battles, but there's a clip of like a burning city kind of thing.
Oh, see, in my mind's eye, the movie was about a woman who
Whoa, man.
a woman who was married to a fella, and something like she would have sex with a handmaid or a butler or something like that.
A handmaid would have been just worlds ahead of its time. To
Exactly.
acknowledge.
And that's so in my mind, she did something like that, and the husband has to smack her and say, "You can't do this. This is 1940s." And then
When
he's
did you think the Civil War took place?
oh, it was the Civil War.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, so this, yeah, okay. So anyway, he slaps her, and it was the Civil War.
That's when Gone with the Wind took place.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it. That's what I'm saying. I thought she slept with somebody, and he had to smack her and then say, "I don't give a damn about your feelings. Get back inside."
No, it's about it's following the character of Scarlett O'Hara, and it's set in the Civil War. She always had this deep love of this fella named Ashley, and she wanted to get married to him. He ends up dying, so she's a widow, so she's tainted goods, and
What?
yeah, then she ends up with another fella. She is trying to maintain this plantation and escape of the war. Everything is being burnt asunder, and this person who has had no education really or training on how to run anything is suddenly being kind of thrust into this role. And Rhett Butler, who's frankly Scarlett, I don't give a damn. That's the character you're referencing. He basically had just had enough of her shenanigans at that point.
What was she shenanigizing?
Oh, she's.
Do you want to spoil it for me, or should I watch it?
It's problematic. I think we should discuss it at it should be its own thing, its own episode. I think it's a film that you have to devote a lot of time to because it's like 5 fucking hours.
Is it really?
Oh my gosh, it's so long. But it is an important cinematic historical film, but it is excessively problematic. That's why HBO had to pull it, because there was kind of this unapologetic way that they were depicting the black actors of the film, that there was no kind of explanation of.
Can you give me an example? A big fat, for instance?
Well, that's one of the movies that spearheaded the kind of quote unquote, and I'm sorry for using the word, I just don't know how else to describe it, the mammy stereotype, the kind of.
Okay.
And there's a very famous quote of a quote unquote silly slave girl saying, "This is not my viewpoint. That's how it was described in the film." But just kind of the "I don't know nothing about birth and no babies."
Is that where that comes from?
Yeah, that came from that movie.
I've heard people say that recently.
Yeah. Well, that was a joke that not pointed in that direction that I heard a lot when I was working with midwives. It was that joke.
That's interesting. So the context of how that was said in the movie is
much more insulting.
Is degrading to the person saying it.
Yeah.
It's so weird that it's still a modern reference and joke.
People forget where the reference comes from, so yeah. I think, but that has nothing to do with Casablanca.
No. But I think, I think that by the way, I discovered, I think I sent you the link. Someone's already doing our podcast.
Oh yeah, I saw that, but they are doing like the top 101 films specifically.
Yeah. But I think she is like a writer and producer, and they get like guest stars on that are actual people from the industry. So they're doing our podcast, but better. I think our angle has to be to do it worse.
Oh, okay.
So ramble
on.
go off on tangents, make our episodes too long and unstructured. That's the way we're gonna win this battle.
That's our shtick.
Yeah.
We got heart.
Yeah, we've got so much heart spilling out of our ears.
That really sounds like a dangerous medical condition.
Well, that's us.
Yeah. It's like people who identify the cardiac issue that would have causes the Grinch hearts to enlarge.
Yeah. He had issues. He was really happy.
He was happy until he died.
I know. 20 minutes later, he collapsed after singing.
Yeah, there's no adorable Who song about that.
I know. I think he carved up the roast beast, and like that just going into his system locked it all down.
There's something to be said about the cholesterol in that Christmas dinner.
Yeah. Can you even imagine what kind of sauce they had on that? It was probably nothing but MSG.
So MSG kind of gets a bad rap.
Does it?
It's not as bad as people say. Some people do have the adverse headache reaction to it, but
right. I've heard of those people.
It adds. I follow.
I said significantly.
A chef online named Emmy.
Yeah.
And she often speaks in defense of MSG because it adds this like umami richness to the dishes.
Speaks on behalf of MSG?
No, yeah, in defense.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because people tend to associate it incorrectly with other issues.
See, in my mind, it's salt.
It's kind of like a flavored salt compound.
Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, you need a little bit of salt, but why defend it? Like, surely we have too much salt and too much sugar in our diets, like everybody does.
So MSG, it's like adding cream of tartar or, a different kind of a citric acid to the dish.
Yeah.
Or like a compound. So it's adding flavor that is on a different level than just salt or sugar.
Right.
Sorry, take my arms off of the table.
Fine.
And so MSG is incorrectly associated with foods that are bad for us, like Chinese takeout that are deep fried.
Right.
There's usually MSG in those kinds of sauces.
Yeah.
The fly is on your Eddie Izzard shirt. Oh, there he goes. He was on the D of Eddie.
He was on Eddie's D?
The first D, not the second D.
Oh my God, how many Ds does he have?
1, 2, 3. There's 3 Ds in Eddie Izzard.
Jesus.
Anyway, but people associate it, like, for some reason with migraines or other symptoms.
Right.
And so MSG just kind of has this bad rap where everyone's like, MSG. It's like the corn syrup.
Yeah.
Or high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
It's people just incorrectly think it's worse because there's been so many successful slander campaigns.
Sure. All right. Well, I did not predict that we were going to have a public service announcement in defense of MSG on this podcast.
Brought to you by Emmy in Japan.
This is a beautiful thing.
YouTube broadcast.
You are not going to get that kind of information anywhere else.
Yeah.
See, listeners, this is why you come here.
So speaking of food, they ordered a lot of champagne cocktails in this film, in Casablanca. So I pulled up a recipe for one.
Oh, are we going to have some this evening?
No, I don't have any champagne.
Oh.
Well, technically, champagne is just specifically has to come from the Champagne region of France.
Oh, yes. Other than that, it's sparkling wine.
Exactly. So to make a champagne cocktail, which I have had before, is 1 sugar cube, 1/3 of an ounce of cognac, 2 dashes of bitters, and 3 ounces of champagne. So you're putting alcohol in your alcohol with a sugar cube.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is decorated with a rind of some sort, like a lemon or an orange rind.
I'll take an orange rind. Yeah, my favorite beer happens to be Blue Moon.
I cannot drink beer.
I know.
Yeah. But anyway, so another interesting factoid is this was actually written as a play. Casablanca was written as a play. And it was set in Portugal, in Lisbon. And it was originally titled Everybody Comes to Rick's. It was authored by Murray Burnett and Joan Allison and sold the rights to the script to Warner Brothers for just $20,000. And they accidentally signed away the complete rights to the script and the characters. They would later try to sue in the 1980s, the Warner Brothers studios.
It was accidentally sold?
They didn't read their contract very well. They didn't mean to sell exclusive rights to the story and the characters.
Interesting. See, I read that it was the first and maybe only stage play that was unproduced to have sold its rights to a movie studio. So that's what I read, but I didn't know that it was accidental.
Well, it was accidental, the scope of the rights that they sold. So
Right,
they could never produce that play.
Right.
They could never write a sequel. They could never do anything with
Fools.
Rick or Ilsa. Another interesting factoid is that Ingrid Bergman stood 5'10" in her bare feet, while Bogey was 5'8", which is my height. And to compensate for their height difference, she wasn't allowed to wear shoes.
And he was on platforms,
and
wasn't he?
He was on platforms.
Yeah.
So I started to, after I read that fact and I rewatched the film, I was laughing because I was like, no wonder there's no full body shots. It's always the knees up.
Yeah, that's true. Although, but another reason might have been that if they had gotten the camera that far away, it would have been obvious that they were in a set.
Also true, yes.
Because how many real locations did they have?
I think it was all set. And I think that even the airplane was not real.
Well, so one thing I read at the end of the movie, the plane on the runway was a cardboard cutout,
yes.
and they had little people there to give it kind of a forced perspective of distance.
To make it look bigger.
Yeah, which I think is interesting. I mean, that's a clever way of solving a problem.
Yeah, and that kind of makes me think of Lord of the Rings, the recent Peter Jackson film franchise, when they...
most famous forced perspective.
Yeah, because they would have a similar thing with actors and stand-ins to give that forced height perspective.
Well, and I think the most standout scene that uses that to me was when Gandalf and Frodo riding on the wagon together.
And Frodo runs to hug Gandalf.
Well, no, that too, but they're in the wagon together, and the shot is showing them both at the same time. But Frodo is very much smaller than Gandalf, and it's not because they've done any kind of trickery. Well, it is trickery, but not digital trickery. Frodo is actually sitting much further back than Ian McKellen is, and the wagon that they built. So Frodo is holding one hand on a post on like one side of the wagon, and Gandalf is next to the post on the other. Mm-hmm. They look to be the same size, but the one on Frodo's side is much bigger, and he's sitting further back.
That's hilarious. That reminds me of all those like magic eye kind of trick books to...
Yeah.
Ugh,
and it looks perfect.
With my mind. Yeah, they do a really good job.
Yeah.
So, did you know that at no point in Casablanca does anyone say, "Play it again, Sam"?
Of course I know that. I do, actually. No, when I was coming into... I mean, I read that, but also when I was coming into the movie, I didn't know what Play It Again, Sam came from, but I was kind of putting puzzle pieces together. But even before I heard that the piano player, his name was Sam, I was like, I think this is going to be the movie where someone says, "Play it again, Sam." So I was listening for it the whole way through, and nobody ever says that line.
They said the line.
But nobody ever does say the line.
Yeah, I think she says, "Play it once more," or something like that, but she never says, "Play it again, Sam."
Yeah.
Rick never says that. So that was just an interesting... Oh, and that song, As Time Goes By, is actually the American Film Institute's number 2 song in a film. Over the Rainbow is the first.
Someday over the rainbow. What?
Somewhere.
Someday over the rainbow. I'm going to be there. So that's how it goes.
Someday. Somehow. Someway. So yeah, just some little interesting factoids.
Would you like to know the top pop song in 1942?
Hit me.
Have a guess. I'll give you anywhere within the top 5. If you can get something in the top 5, you get a point.
Can you name me the artist?
I cannot. I can give you the year.
Was it 42?
It was 1942.
I knew the year. Let's see. Bear with me, folks. I'm thinking. Trying to think of what would be very helpful to have an artist. I don't know. I'm gonna give up.
You can't even give one guess? Blue Sky. Something. I mean, just, something that was in that era. You don't know how popular it was, maybe, but in the 40s. Name of something you think was a popular song.
The 40s.
I know you know and are very familiar with at least one of the artists.
Is it Mr. Bing Crosby?
Yes, sir.
Ah. This is tough because I'm trying to think. There's a lot of movies songs that Bing did that were Irving Berlin and featured in different movies.
What is a type of song that people would be compelled to play at least once a year?
White Christmas?
There you go.
No.
Number 1.
Whew.
Number 2 was Glenn Miller. I've Got a Gallon. Jimmy Dorsey is number 3 with Tangerine. Glenn.
I like Jimmy Dorsey.
Jimmy Dorsey's the man.
Slept on Jerry Dorsey. So we, Zach and I are both fans of Mr. Eddie Izzard, and there is a very funny bit about Engelbert Humperdinck.
Yeah.
And one of the names that he originally went by was Jerry Dorsey, and so I just ad-libbed there. I apologize.
Number 4 was Glenn Miller, Moonlight Cocktail, and number 5 was Harry James, Sleepy Lagoon. Do you know any of those?
I do not. I will say
Shocking.
that I am more familiar with 1950s on forward.
Oh.
When we were stationed in Germany, we listened to a lot of oldies and opera. So my 1940s music, not so knowledgeable, but after that, I have a little bit more of a wheelhouse.
That's so weird.
I had a very strange formative year.
Yes, you did. All right. I'm kind of half interested to quiz you on 1950s music. But we'll save that.
Yeah, well, we'll have to save that for a 1950s musical that we watch.
Do you have one? Is there one on the list currently?
I need to look up the year it was released, but I believe The Music Man was in the 50s. And that was one that we were discussing earlier that my friend and cousin Chris will have to participate in.
All right, well.
Because we are both Robert Preston.
The invitation is officially extended. Chris, you must join our podcast.
You have been summoned. So, was it as good as I remembered? I say absolutely. Every time I watch Casablanca, I feel as though I get a new appreciation. I pick up on things in dialogue that I've missed before. So there's this one line in particular that made me laugh this time that I think I missed, which is there's a young woman and her husband, and they're trying to get their transit papers, and the captain is asking for a night, essentially, with the young woman in exchange for the papers, and there is a line that's saying that the captain is with the young woman and her husband, and Bogey makes a comment. He's like, "Well, that's more progressive than I gave him credit for," or something like that. But it just made me laugh. And I will say that there's the scene where Laszlo interrupts the Germans singing their anthem with the French anthem. And there's something about that scene that always gave me chills. I love it so much.
I have to agree. I think that the scene where Laszlo came down to sing is the most emotional moment in the movie.
I would agree with that. And there was just something very proud about that. Have you ever listened to or read the lyrics of the French anthem? They are the most violent.
I don't think I have.
I'll pull that up while you queue up your next segment.
All right. Well, I've got some trivia. I can do my trivia, and then we can move into the analysis period.
Sybil? Bon.
Bon. Yes, bon. Very bon. Mucho bon. Okay, so actually during that song, apparently the extras were... The movie seemed to be really thoroughly comprised of people who had escaped Nazi Germany or Nazi-occupied France. So a lot of them were real survivors, and when they were singing that song, many of the extras had real tears in their eyes.
That certainly explains why it was so profound, the energy, you could feel it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought it was completely beautiful. And that hearing that, watching the entire movie, because I've seen it now twice. I watched it once, and we kind of discussed it together off the podcast, and then I watched it again with my brothers. And watching it, knowing that the second time was chilling in many places.
It sort of reminded me of, I don't know if you've ever seen the film Cabaret.
No.
So, Cabaret also set around the landscape of World War II, but this time set in Berlin. So in the scene, they are witnessing kind of this division while this youth is singing the song Tomorrow Belongs to Me, which is set like a Nazi somewhat anthem that is playing into people's desire to have nationalism and pride, and it's just a very powerful moment in the movie where you see the division, and it's kind of the opposite feel. The French national anthem scene was meant as a jab and takedown of the Nazi party. The Tomorrow Belongs to Me shows the other end of the spectrum where the Nazis are gaining ground and becoming more powerful, and the fear that kind of resonates on the people not participating in the song's face.
Well, so you're a French, or you speak French, right?
I do not.
So can you sing a little bit of the song?
I will not sing it, but I will read a little bit of the translation of the French national anthem, which is, "Let's go, children of the fatherland. The day of the glory has come. Against us from the tyranny, the bloody banner is raised. The bloody banner is raised. Do you hear in our countryside blared the wild soldiers? They've come right into your arms. Stay your son, your companions, to arms, citizens. Train your battalions. Let's walk, let's walk. Only in impure blood waters our furrows." So we're watering our furrows with the impure blood of the tyranny. That is bloody and violent.
Yes, it is.
But, they sang it so beautifully.
They did. It was better not knowing what it meant.
Sorry.
You've ruined the movie.
That's our second working title, Allyson Ruins a Movie.
I really felt like that was going to be my job.
Yeah, no,
You were going to love a movie, introduce it to me, and I was going to just hate it.
I both praise it and demolish it. Same swoop.
I think that's the appropriate way to go. Not a single track mind.
But yeah, so that scene was just, it was wonderful.
So apparently Rick's Bar was one of the few original sets that was created for the movie. So most of them were sets, most if not all of them were sets, but Rick's was the only one that was made for the movie.
Interesting.
All the other ones were reused.
The Sam's piano, there's two different pianos that they use in the film. One in their French apartment and then one at Rick's. The one from Rick's actually sold at auction in the millions recently.
I had heard,
but
yeah.
the one that was from the France apartment did not sell quite as high, like $20,000 or something.
What?
Yeah.
Owning a piece of cinematic history?
But the French one is more iconic. It's painted and it's pretty, and the other one just looks like a regulation piano.
Okay. Well, so I've got a question about Sam. But I guess we can save it for when we're actually picking apart the movie.
Yeah, 'cause I had some notes about some issues that I found presented that we can say for does it hold up kind of discussion.
So Sam wasn't actually playing the piano. He was a real musician, but I think he was I think he played trumpet or something like that. He didn't play piano. So there was a pianist on set. So while he was playing, that music is live. It's actually being played, but he's not playing it.
It's a body double piano.
Well, no. I mean, someone's off camera.
Oh, okay.
And playing so that everyone can hear it. And he's watching that person's hands. So I always found it weird that he was like, when he was playing, he was kind of leaning over and facing the camera. And it makes a kind of a striking visual image, but it just seems awkward. Like, why would a person play like that? But I think it was because he was looking at the person who was playing so that he knew how to position his hands.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Originally, they were toying with the idea of the singer Sam being a female, and they were looking at Ella Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
And I want to say Nina Simone was another one, but they ended up with Sam. They liked the male on male friendship between Rick and Sam.
Yeah, I think that works. I kind of wonder why they would have chose at any point planned for that to be a female character, because it seems like, as heavy-handed as the movie was with certain of its themes, it seems like that may have gone into a territory of like another romance, and it would have muddied the waters a little bit.
But in 1942, I don't know how strongly they would have allowed that kind of romance to be explored, unless we're talking 1942. This is not something I condone. They probably, when you look at the first interracial kiss on camera, that was in Star Trek in the 60s.
Viva la Star Trek.
So I don't know that they would have allowed the inference of a romantic relationship between Rick and one of those singers. I wonder how they would have tried to discourage it.
I don't know. I feel like that would have been an interestingly, I think it would have been a thematically appropriate move for them to have made.
It would have been. Allyson idly wondering about 1942 producer brains, if they would have. I'm against that process, but I just wonder idly if they would have allowed it.
So here's something that's kind of on that topic, but kind of different. So apparently, As Time Goes By, that was the name of the song, right?
Yes.
That was not originally the song they were going to play. They were going to play another song that was, was it that? No, I think it was the French national anthem. They weren't going to play that song. They were going to play something else. But it was owned by I didn't write this down, so this is completely off of memory. It was a song in the movie, and now I'm thinking it was the German song. So I think they were going to play a different German song that was more appropriate for them to have sung, but the Nazi party owned it.
Ooh.
And so they really wanted to play that for authenticity, but they thought it would be an absurd situation if they ever owed Nazis a royalty. So they had to change the song.
Well, I appreciate not wanting to pay the Nazis.
Yeah. Because a lot of this the movie was supposed to be a rebellious spirit against the Nazis. There were a lot of Jewish people that were part of making the movie and part of acting in the movie and things like that. So it was a very rebellious spirit. So I think that they wanted to do that just to kind of give the middle finger that song was part of the movie. But they also didn't want to pay the Nazis.
Yeah. It's a hard thing to give a middle finger and then also sign a check.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done it. Like, when you're writing a check and it's for a bill you don't want to pay. So, yeah.
But I thought that was interesting that they had that kind of conundrum presented to them.
Absolutely.
All right. So I think a lot of your trivia kind of coincided with mine. Oh, the last one that I thought was really interesting that you didn't bring up. Apparently, a lot of the shadows on set were painted.
I did not know that, but that's interesting.
Yeah, they weren't real shadows. They were painted.
Huh.
That is so strange.
Like, I'm guessing there's a scene where they're sitting at a table and there is a palm plant kind of cascading a shadow onto them. The palm plant may have been painted on there, or human shadows.
Oh, I doubt it would have been human. It didn't say. My guess is that it would have been like a shadow from like a hypothetical window behind them, casting a shadow onto the back
To make it
drop.
look less like a set and more like a real.
Exactly, yeah. Because they had the spotlight that was always circling and shining shadows on stuff depending on the scene. And so I'm guessing that if they were inside of Rick's bar, that sometimes they would have had to have shadows that seem like they're coming from behind that weren't actually.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
That I did not know.
And one note, we can start analyzing, unless you've got something else, we can start analyzing the movie.
No, let's analyze.
All right. My first thought upon starting the movie, and I'm just going to play it. This music is so... I don't know. What is it? What emotion does this elicit in you?
Arabian Nights.
A little bit, yeah.
But I mean, for Morocco, that's...
I'm going to scan forward.
And so a tortuous, roundabout refugee trail sprang up. Paris to Marseille.
That boom, boom. It just sounds so dismal.
To Oran.
Well, it's World War II.
Couldn't you have been a little cheerier?
It's
World War II.
Or Otto, or foot across the rim of Africa.
I don't know. Just for the start of the movie,
supposed to be bleak.
I know, no tone had been established yet, and just all of a sudden it crashes down on you with that dismal music, and the visuals were dismal, and just everything was dismal. It made my heart so heavy that I didn't want to keep watching.
It's kind of like it's a world war.
Look, just because you're at war with the world doesn't mean you can't put a smile on people's faces.
This was brought to you by the comedian, also known as Zach.
Oh, calm. But, okay, so aside from that, my first impression of the movie was actually how modern it felt. I mean, actually, the way it was filmed. He was moving the camera around. The director was moving the camera around so much. It felt like a modern movie. Because, I mean...
It didn't feel stationary.
It didn't. And especially for everything being a set. To have moved the camera around so much feels bold. Which I liked a lot. I thought it was very cool. Especially if you consider or compare it to another movie of the time, like It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life, the camera's stationary for almost all the shots.
And it also felt like in It's a Wonderful Life, like they were taking places in homes or in shops, so it felt like maybe the camera didn't have as much room to move around.
What do you think, those were real shops, or do you think those were sets?
I think they were sets, but they constructed the sets to be very realistic feeling, so I think there was minimal ways the camera could have moved, but I also haven't researched it.
Well, nor have I.
So maybe this will have to be a Christmas time special where we look into It's a Wonderful Life.
I would love to do that, although I've seen it a bunch. I am very familiar with that movie.
Maybe we can find one of our friends who hasn't seen it and induct them into our lovely society here.
This is a very good idea.
Friends, which one of you hasn't seen It's a Wonderful Life and would like us to enjoy the film with you?
We can. So, do you think for our special episodes, Halloween will have to be one of those special episodes?
Halloween. So the thing about Halloween, all of our friends group would have seen everything. You would still need to see something.
What do you think I haven't seen that's a classic Halloween movie?
Well, classic horror.
Well, okay, so...
You haven't seen Lost Boys.
Are you trying to draw a distinction between horror and Halloween?
Yes, because those are two different facets. Hocus Pocus is a Halloween film.
Truly,
But
yeah.
not a horror film.
Is Nightmare Before Christmas a Christmas movie or a Halloween movie?
It is a Christmas film to me that has a
Wrong.
Halloween element.
Wrong. It's a Halloween movie that has a Christmas element.
What do you think about Die Hard? Is Die Hard a Christmas film?
It's a Halloween movie.
It has nothing to do with Halloween.
Of course it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah. Take that, internet.
Yeah, you dummies.
Ooh, no, I didn't say that.
Oh, I did. You're all a bunch of dummies if you don't think so.
So, yeah, it's you haven't seen The Burbs. You haven't seen Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Is Rocky Horror Picture Show actually a horror picture show?
No, it's a musical, but it has that Halloween element to it.
Oh, okay, so that would be a Halloween movie, not a horror movie.
Yes. Oh,
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
So, The Burbs is a horror comedy, which I think would be a great film to watch around Halloween.
And that's the Tom Hanks.
Yes, Tom Hanks. Let's see, you haven't seen Lost Boys, which is horror, but also very delicious around October time to watch.
Lost Boys. That sounds like a movie about two guys in an airplane that crash land somewhere in Vietnam.
It's about vampires of Santa Barbara.
It's very different.
Yeah. With Mr. Kiefer Sutherland.
What?
And Billis Preston Esquire. Is it Ted Theodore Logan? I just mixed them up.
Oh my God.
It's the non-Keanu.
Internet, please go wild and crazy at this latest mistake of Allison's.
I know. And I just watched it the other night. Anyway,
On a scale of 1 to 5, how ashamed are you?
5 being the most shamed, my head is in a bag. I feel like I'm Scrappy Doo, like, oh, for shame. And like,
It's not often you get a Scrappy Doo reference.
no, because no one likes Scrappy Doo. But let's see. I'm just pulling up the list. Jaws, that's another very important movie.
I'm looking forward to Jaws.
That is an all seasons horror, though. That's not. I think it's more thrilling than horror, with political implications.
What? Beaches? Opening beaches for COVID people?
You'll have to see and then look at the modern correlation.
I feel like it's going to be beaches being open for shark business, and in the
listen.
modern era, it's going to be COVID business.
Life's a beach, Zach.
Yeah.
So are you uncomfortable because?
Oh, I thought you were going to call me a bitch.
No, I would never. Anyway, so yes, we are going to have to format how we invite our friends to partake in the conversation with
So
us.
I was going to ask, so for these types of specials, one, in these COVID times, should we invite many people into one location?
No, I think that would be ill-advised at this time.
I agree, but for Halloween, we're going to need more than just, we're going to need a whole gang of our gang. The Halloweeners. Sorry.
He was so proud and then laughed at his own joke.
I didn't expect to say that. That just kind of came out, but I really liked it.
Halloweenies.
No, we're the Halloweeners.
And we'll have to eat hot dogs during this special.
Indeed.
Sorry, vegetarian.
We can have veggie wieners.
Sounds like an adult version of VeggieTales.
The veggie wieners.
Disturbing. Anyway, so we'll have to find a way to make it happen that is still safe.
Agree. Perhaps we can even have people over the types of internet calls one can do.
The Zoomies.
FaceTime if you're an Apple person.
Yeah. One of those things. We will work out the logistics and we will get back to you, the listener.
In fact, I think we should enforce FaceTime. I think that'll make Chris happy, being an Apple fan like he is.
This is also.
I think let's just move past it. Don't acknowledge anything. So we'll just.
I can neither confirm nor deny anything.
All right. So FaceTime it is for all of our Apple family friends.
So back to the analysis of Casablanca.
well, I wanted to get to the bottom of how. Okay, so we're gonna have maybe some people here, maybe some people over Zoom, and I was gonna say for certain like the Christmas, maybe we'll have one person on, or for a special movie that one of our friends really loves, we can have them on. But for Halloween, we need all of our Halloweeners.
Which is pretty much so. Our friends group, we like to go to haunted houses and this sort of thing together. We are very much fans of horror and spooky, and Halloween is our season. October is our season. We come alive in September with the threat of pumpkin spice wafting in the air. Something I actually do not choose to imbibe is pumpkin spice. I find it disgusting.
I don't think it's disgusting, but one a season maybe.
Yeah, not
If
even
that.
not
Yeah,
even
I
that.
mean,
Yeah,
I'm not drawn to it, but it's not bad.
I do not care for pumpkin pie. I am thoroughly un-American.
I'll agree with you on that. I
Yeah.
don't like pumpkin pie. Although I'm not a sweets person. I don't like cake.
No,
Pie is okay.
the only thing Zach likes is this very interesting confection, which is powdered sugar, potatoes, and peanut butter.
Which way? Hey, if you just describe it like that, that sounds awful. Just potatoes and sugar and peanut butter.
That's what it is. It's literally a 3-ingredient dessert.
I know, but you do some special things to massage it into a delicious treat.
Okay, you cook the potatoes until they are malleable and able to mush into kind of a mashed potato-y format. You fold in some confectioner's sugar to make your candy. So your candy is a base of confectioner's sugar and potato.
Yeah.
And then you slather, you put it out into like a square shape, flattened, and on wax paper so you can eventually roll it up. And then you slather on the top of that peanut butter, and then you make like a jelly roll and cut it into little circles. I've made this once for Zach for a birthday, and I had to find a recipe for it. And I don't know if I either needed to add more sugar or less sugar or cook the potatoes longer. It tasted fine. It didn't taste at all like a potato.
Yeah, it's good. Wait, fine. It's great.
Well, I think I need to play with the recipe, try to perfect it a little bit more. Maybe use a different type of peanut butter or something. Just texturally, it was, and I think you've admitted it, it was not quite right texturally.
I don't remember it being off. Maybe there was a little bit of skin on the potato or something.
No, I peeled those suckers.
I don't remember it being weird.
Maybe it was just me. And I didn't know what to compare it to.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful treat for any occasion, for any season. I recommend everyone look it up. Potato candy.
You get your protein.
Look, you've been advertising.
Starches.
You've been advertising for other people. This isn't even a brand. Just Google potato candy, I beg you.
Emmy did a special on that, the chef I was talking about earlier.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. She had hers pre-made. I think she tried to make hers. She does not like peanut butter. She is one of those weirds that do not like peanut butter. I do not understand those people. Listeners, if you hear us talk about peanut butter, tell us your thoughts. Pro, con, crunchy, creamy. Only the creamy people are right.
That's such an odd... This is a movie podcast.
It sure is.
It sure is. Or it should be.
Or it's the ramblings of two mad people.
Yes, well, that's our thing now, apparently, because someone got to this podcast 2 years before us.
No. They're only doing AFI, and they have journalistic history.
Yes. They've got some sort of grounding in the industry.
Yeah. We're a bunch of neophytes.
Bunch of dorks and dweebs.
Okay, so our analysis. We were talking about sets and cameras and feeling modern.
Painted shadows.
Painted shot. Well, you were talking specifically about going into the film, you felt it was, though stark feeling because of the music. You felt oppressed by the music. But you also said that you felt it was modern because of the camera panning.
I thought that, I thought just the intro was overwhelmingly dismal.
It's going to beat you in the head with its "we're sad."
And maybe it's not just the music itself. I guess it's the recording. It's of the time. The recording is just bad, so it sounds like.
So
if that makes any sense to the listeners.
Not being alive in the time, but watching newsreels and things that were of the time, that felt very much like what they superimposed into newsreels. So you probably saw this reference in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Love that movie.
When he went in, at the movie theater, it wasn't just the one movie they played. It was like newsreels, a cartoon. It was many things.
Yeah.
And so those newsreels at the time, where a lot of people devoured their information because this was before TV, they would have that kind of music and graphics.
Did you know the main character of Roger Rabbit, the guy? What was his name?
The actor?
Yeah.
The human?
Yeah.
Oh, he was Smee in Hook.
Was he really? I was
yeah.
about to blow your mind and say he's English. I didn't know he was English, but
Yeah.
he's English.
He definitely is.
Yeah.
Oh,
I saw a video of him. He's got a
he-
super middle class to low class accent. Like, just didn't expect it.
Why is his name escaping me right now? I love him, and this makes me sad because I believe he passed somewhat recently.
Yeah.
Within the last couple of years. Come back to me on the name because it's escaping me and it's not serving him for me to have.
Indubitably. But I will continue what I was saying about the camera work just feeling modern. Yeah, I mean, out of the gate, the camera is just, it's moving around, doing a lot of dolly shots and things like that. It just makes everything feel much more alive. And a lot of the analysts I was listening to was saying that it felt like a dance. I don't know if I agree with that. I think that's an overly artsy way of phrasing it. But it did feel very energetic. It felt very involved. You always felt like you were coming into the scene and, leaving a scene and things like that. It felt very energetic and very modern compared to other films of the time.
Well, I will say that the dialogue in this film, very much of the time, had that kind of exhaustive, quick quality that I wonder, did people speak like that? There was this way that it was very snippy, very quick together, retorts and everything.
Yeah.
I've had friends tell me that they could never get into a show like, say, the Gilmore Girls because they do dialogue this way. They speak at each other so quickly that it is found to be, to the people who said it, tiring. It's fatiguing to...
I can see that. I mean, I like some good dialogue, but I don't think good is synonymous with just fast. I think that's kind of cheating. Just because you're saying a lot doesn't mean it's clever.
The actor, by the way, is Bob Hoskins.
Bob Hoskins. Yeah. Bob Hoskins. He does a good accent, whatever that was, like a New York side of
Yeah.
valiant, kind of gruff New Yorker.
Eddie Valiant.
Eddie Valiant.
So yes, quick dialogue. It doesn't give your brain a lot of time to rest and absorb what you're hearing. And so when it's clever, quick dialogue, your brain wants to sit there and mull over what you've seen and heard and reflect on it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't give you that opportunity.
And I haven't seen Gilmore Girls, so I can't comment on whether or not it's clever
Well,
or exhausting.
It is clever. It is quick. I don't think it's exhausting because what they're saying isn't. And it may be just because I've seen it so many times. Because it's one of those TV shows like Friends where if it's on, you can kind of pick up.
Yeah.
So listening to Gilmore Girls, I don't feel like I'm losing anything in the quickness of the dialogue.
Yeah, fair enough. And you don't think you have to strain to keep up with whatever's happening?
And I think also that could be because it's set in modern time, a time
It
period.
seems more jarring.
1940s, there's more information that I have to absorb. Like, is that a common expression or colloquialism that they're referencing? Is that something of the time?
I will say that I can forgive that type of dialogue in an older movie, I think, because it already seems somewhat otherworldly just because everything is old and I'm just kind of, it's almost culture shock going into a movie like that because everything is so different. The way people interact with each other is very different. And maybe some of that was superficial, like it was created in Hollywood, that way of talking to each other. So but I don't know. So I guess I kind of forgive it more because it's of the era. But for something like Gilmore Girls, again, I haven't seen it, but I've seen other films and movies that attempt to have that kind of patter. And it seems artificial. It's people don't, even clever people who are quick-witted don't speak that way to each other.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So it may in a newer context or a more modern context, it just may seem jarring to the ear or even just the senses in general to like, why are you talking to each other that way?
Why?
It's so odd. But in Casablanca, I noticed it, and I guess I forgave it, or it didn't bump me. I kind of got over it. But I certainly noticed it, and kind of on that topic, the way particularly men sound in older recordings is weird to me. They all sound a little bit more nasally. You know, they've got this kind of thing going on.
Well,
it was a lie.
Yeah, and Humphrey Bogart has kind of like a breathy, nasally quality. Like he breathes. I'm trying to think of how to describe it.
Well, give me a line. I think I can say it like that.
Here's looking at you, kid.
Here's looking at you, kid.
Yeah, but like his is, it's like almost like muffled, breathy too.
Yeah.
Not,
well, he also smoked a lot.
Yeah, well,
I mean, a lot. He was
yeah.
did not have a cigarette in his hand.
That is also true. Have you noticed that you pay attention more as a modern viewer looking back at older things like cigarettes? Because I'm like, it's just not a thing in our present culture. Like
That's very true. And I have to say, it always makes me want a cigarette.
It never makes me want a cigarette. All I can think about is how bad must your breath be?
Oh, well, that's I try to ignore that because in real life, that's how it is. Mm-hmm. But in movies, I can't smell them. And it looks like such a fun social thing to do. Like, seriously, like you get in a group of people, let's all light up some cigarettes and just very contemplative feeling.
Looking cool.
And I smoked a pipe recently.
Okay.
And I don't like the experience of putting smoke in my body and having nicotine like wire me up. Mm-hmm. I don't like that, but just the social thing of blowing, it gives a natural kind of pause to a conversation.
Was it the pipe that I brought you back from Ireland?
No.
Oh.
I didn't plan it before going.
Who plans pipe smoking?
I did. On the way there, I think I texted Mark. I was like, yeah, I'm going to smoke a pipe. I've now decided we were listening to Sherlock Holmes on the way there and it made me want to smoke a pipe. So I was like, gosh, dang it. I don't want to swear on this fucking podcast.
I was about to say, you mean again?
Anyway, so I really wanted to smoke a pipe. So I didn't plan it before leaving, but when I got there...
Smoking a pancake.
Smoking a pancake. Bunging a beans. So anyway, I went to a place there and it said a maximum of 3 people can come in to this shop. There were like 8 people in there when I walked in. They didn't care. So anyway, I bought a pipe and some stuff and smoked 2 nights in a row. And I don't like how it makes me feel, but it was something to it.
I will say that vanilla pipe smoke and peppermint pipe smoke have kind of a pleasing after smell.
I feel like the aroma would be nice. I don't know how that would be going in.
Well, like, so my dad had an old pipe. I don't think he ever smoked it. I think it was an heirloom. But it had this residual scent of this vanilla tobacco tar kind of that lingered onto it. And it even still today smells like that, which just talks about how much that kind of sticks to whatever it's on. But it did have a more pleasing aroma. Probably not so much in the moment. Like cigars have that really horrible smell.
Well, I guess it depends what kind of cigar you have. I mean, you grew up in I feel like your dad would have been a cigar smoker. Was he a cigar smoker?
Occasionally, the men in my family... after Christmas
They'd go
dinner,
downstairs and play billiards while the lady folks stay upstairs and talk amongst themselves.
Yes, well, they go out onto a deck or a patio after Thanksgiving or dinner and Christmas dinner, and they will have a bit of a cigar and some vodka.
I love that you grew up in a Jane Austen novel.
Well, we didn't just sit and then talk about our prospects when the men folk went to do things. No. Well, I didn't.
You didn't participate in that?
No. I was more like, oh, I'm going to go downstairs and play some video games.
Go play some Grand Theft Auto while you people talk about you.
Exactly. Or Mario Kart or Zelda or whatever. But, yeah. So this is all true.
How on earth did we get here?
everyone
talking
was
about
smoking.
cigarettes. Yeah.
And how jarring it is to see that as such a prevalent part of the culture. Like up into the 90s, I think that's when it started to taper off the smoking in film.
You think? Mm-hmm. Maybe so. I mean, I grew up in the 90s, so I didn't see what it was like beforehand. Well, I mean, I've seen older movies, but I mean, I feel like we still saw lots of smoking. I mean, quote unquote, lots of smoking in 90s movies.
Yeah, I think that was when there was all the ad campaigns against like Philip Morris.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, anyway, but
So, I mean, when you see a cigarette, you don't think, wow, I'd really like to.
never, not once. No. I've actually had arguments with friends like if we were vampires and wouldn't get cancer if we would smoke.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally, I would. Yeah.
Yeah,
obviously.
that was their viewpoint. They're like, it looks cool.
Yeah,
I hate to say it, but
honestly, it does. It just looks cool. There's no getting around it. And that sucks.
kids don't listen to your Uncle Zachary.
Kids, however you look at it, however you slice it health-wise, smoking is cool.
No.
It is. I mean, there's no way around it. Sorry. I mean, I've never been a smoker myself because I hate it.
I remember when there was smoking in bars. When I first turned 21, there was a local college bar, McAdoo's, and they had smoking.
Isn't that the name of the
Beep.
Now everyone knows how to find me.
Oh, whoops. Do you want to cut that out?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, sorry.
Yeah.
Continue. Sorry, folks, we just had to cut something out because it revealed Allison's location.
Not just just simple Baltimore. It was like she lives next door to adjacent.
Yes, and it wasn't a very flattering building. I'm so sad we have to cut that out because it's really amusing, the type of thing that's right outside of your hood. Anyway.
Yes.
Well.
So, McAdoo's was a local bar outside of my residence in college, and it had smoking that was still allowed on premise. And I just remember every time I came back from McAdoo's, I had to immediately change clothes, put my clothes into the wash, and have a shower because it was in my hair, it was on my clothes.
Yep.
You could smell me coming into the...
It's disgusting.
It's horrible.
I hate cigarette smoke. I hate like cigar smoke and pipe smoke. It's all nasty. I mean, some of it can have like a little bit of a, like not cigarette smoke, obviously, but like pipe smoke and such can have an okay aroma. But just generally it's awful and I hate it.
Yeah. And then vaping just gives you the false sense that someone's making you like cinnamon buns.
Although, if they made a vapey thing that just looked like a pipe, I might do it. I might have to do it.
So one of my fiance's friends owns a vape shop.
Do they have non-nicotine vape stuff? Like it's literally just water?
Flavored water.
Yeah, I mean, because I would do
Water
that.
vaporing.
I would do that. That's perfect.
I've seen that with essential oils. I've never seen it with vape.
They really need to do that.
I mean, I could ask.
I would so be into it.
Yeah.
I would do it.
Yeah. I'll
You
check.
call me pretentious all day long. I'm smoking a pipe that doesn't do me any harm.
Tastes like berries.
Bubble gum. I feel so much like Sherlock Holmes.
It's like when I go to the dentist, I go to a dentist that still has the different options of like, do you want grape, cherry, or mint? I'm like, I'm in my 30s. I would like so grape, please.
So I was going to say, but I have a preference and it's grape. Get it?
Grape. Do you ever notice that all artificial grape tastes like grape Dimetapp?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
What about that's your only point about that? No, we're going with that. But what about cherry? What does cherry taste like? Ass.
Not having consumed as I enjoy maraschino cherries on my sundaes. And
Oh no, yeah, regular cherries taste like cherries for the most part, but cherry,
but not natural cherries.
no, that's what I'm saying. Natural cherries taste like cherries.
But maraschino cherries taste like candied cherries, which I also enjoy the flavor of.
That's right. There's a different type of thing with you.
They have a
fancy living. She knows things I don't know.
grenadine kind of flavor.
Grenadine. But what about cherry flavored things, like a little sucky candy?
A little sucky sucky.
Yeah, little sucky, like a Werther's.
I prefer butterscotch Werther's. Yeah.
Who wouldn't?
No, it's in the candy flavor realm, I think strawberry and grape are my favorite go-tos. I don't sometimes,
Lime?
but like I don't like apple flavored candies.
Yeah, I can kind of take or leave apple. I would reach for a different flavor before I got apple, but it's not as bad as cherry.
But I love apple cider and apple juice. But those don't taste like apple candy.
Tastes like apples.
Yeah. Anyway, so this has been our food podcast.
I was going to say, this is a movie podcast.
Brought
What are
to
we
you
doing?
by McCormick MSG.
Look, we got to stop advertising for folks. By the way, ExxonMobil is exactly where you want to get your gasoline. That is high test material.
Anyway, so we have not
What are we
even
doing?
gotten into
Oh, we're at
the-
Casablanca. That's right.
So far, we've played the intro.
Oh my goodness, this is a great podcast.
This has been brought to you by adult ADHD.
Which I was diagnosed.
That's the only reason I said it, is because,
You knew that I was suffering.
and I follow on your tangents. That's my problem. I'm a follower.
Oh, tangents are the best.
It's true.
All right, so this fella. Oh, so I want to bring up one thing about
The smoking.
smoking. No, he is smoking here, but he's never not smoking. It's hard to find an image of him without a cigarette. The lighting on this fella's face, and I'm looking at Humphrey Bogart at 9:11 o'clock. It is 9:11.
Well, 9:11 o'clock, he means minute mark, 9 minutes, 11 seconds.
I was quoting something that I saw a while ago. And it's just a joke. Anyway, I'm not going to get into it.
So don't ask him.
Yeah, don't talk to me about it. The cinematic critique that I often see for old movies is, wow, look at the framing. There's like a post in between the two characters that symbolizes the divide between them, like emotionally the struggle. And I'm always like, that is just, it's needlessly pretentious and
It's a sled.
it's overly artistic. Like, but then he walks across the post, and what's that symbolize? They've gotten over their divide in 2 seconds? No, it didn't mean anything. It just looked visually interesting. And so I saw a lot of people talking about Casablanca, the way that Humphrey Bogart is always lit. He's got one side of his face is dark, and the other side is light. It symbolizes
His duality?
It symbolizes the duality. Like, he's cynical now, but inside he's really
A romantic sin.
romantic and
Cynicism.
optimistic, and he wants to help people. And it's like, no, that's just how you light people in movies. Half of someone's face has always got a shadow on it. It's just how it's lit. Everybody's like that. And in the same, whoops, what just happened? Oh, Disney.
Disney?
Is this Disney? Oh, no, it's Hobo. It's Hobo. Sorry. Oh, Hobo. So,
Don't send the Disney people after us. What are you doing?
sorry, we're just advertising for everybody. So, like this fella, Laszlo, they would show specific shots of him, and like, yeah, but he doesn't have shadow on his face. His face is always completely well lit. Like, well, you're selectively finding shots of him like that. Look at this one. Half of his face is shadowed. Half of his face is light.
Well, it's more his cheek is shadowed, but like the full front of the face is light.
Is like all of this over here is.
And what does that say about our favorite general or captain?
Exactly. His whole face is light. It doesn't mean anything. It looked good for the shot.
It means something when it means something.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can cherry pick. It's like the Bible. You can. I don't need to get into it.
Please. Because that's a whole other topic.
That's a can of worms.
Yeah.
Anyway, it means something when it means something, I guess, if you feel like breaking your back to find the meaning. Anyway, I just wanted to go on that tangent.
No, I'm glad I went there with you. Did you know that Claude Rains, who played the general, played the Invisible Man?
No.
Well, there you go. You know how I know that?
Tell me.
Rocky Horror Picture Show, the intro to the song. Yeah.
Ruining another good movie.
How is it ruining?
Well, now I know that.
It's a lyric and a song. I didn't say when or what context.
The double cross rung. Oh, yeah. Here's another piece of trivia for you. So do you know what the ring that the dude comes in and shows Laszlo at the beginning of the movie?
Yeah, he's trying to indicate that he's an ally.
But do you know what the ring symbolizes? That actually is real symbolism, and it means something.
No, I'm not aware.
That was the symbol. It's the double cross for Free France.
Oh, they do reference that later in the film as well.
They reference Free France, yeah. I don't know if they referenced it in association with the ring specifically, but that's what the symbol means.
There is a docent that someone is carrying that has the Free France sign. So in the beginning, they're rounding up the usual suspects.
That's a line.
That's a line. And one of the men that they shoot is carrying a docent, which has a photograph of the Free France.
I feel like we need a sound. I didn't know that. That's interesting. I feel like we need a sound effect for whenever, like, we hear a movie line that is well known.
Like a soundbite thing.
Yeah. Well, I think this needs to go full AM radio, and we just need sound effects for everything.
Dingo and the baby.
Dingo and the baby. Anyway. Yes.
Indeed.
And that's what I have to say. So here,
Free France. Vive la France.
Did you have any interest in speaking about any scene in particular?
So there's a scene where Rick is standing over the shoulder of a young gentleman who's trying to buy passage out of Casablanca with him and his young wife. And Rick is essentially helping them. And the way that his team reacts to this out of character heart that he is showing to the young couple, I just really loved the head waiter and the lead men at the bar and their reactions.
Yeah. Yeah, I did think that was interesting. One thing on that note I wanted to talk about was the rigging of the gambling scene.
Oh, and he's like, "Is this place a clean place to gamble?" And
and I'm tangenting off my tangent right now, but tangenting off my tangent. The scene where the Nazi fella tells French fella to shut the bar down after the song, and the reason that he gave went up to Rick. I am shocked to find there's gambling happening here.
Here's your winnings.
I loved that.
Traveling is so expensive and difficult. It was much more than we thought to get here. And then Captain Renault sees us, and he is so kind. He wants to help us.
Yes, I'll bet.
He tells me he can give us an exit visa, but we have no money.
Does he know that?
Oh, yes.
And he's still willing to give you a visa?
Yes, monsieur.
And you want to know?
Will he keep his word?
I like the subtle
Always
implication that there's a tete-a-tete there, that he is asking for something of the
You are
wife.
a man. If someone loved you very much.
Isn't she supposed to be underage?
It was the only thing that she wanted in
Newlywed.
the world.
Young, but newlywed.
I thought that Rick says to her at some point that she's only 16 or she's underage or something, so she can't drink in the bar.
You ever loved me that much?
Oh, he was making a joke that she looked
And the girl
young.
kept this bad thing locked in her heart. That would be all right, wouldn't it?
Do you want my advice?
Oh, yes, please.
I don't think that was a joke because he makes a mention of it and then says, "Do you want a drink?" "Oh, I'm sorry, you can't." And then pours himself one and then drinks alone.
Oh, no, I do think it was a joke, because if she was European people start drinking at younger ages than they do here.
Well, yeah, but
wine
I don't know how things were in Casablanca. I assumed that they were very strict.
Yeah, no, I think he was just making a jab at how kind of young and innocent she seemed.
Interesting.
But so I like that it's kind of implied that General Renaud is asking to bet her, but they've never explicitly said that in any of the dialogue. It's kind of left for us to discern.
Right, yeah. Well, and he is kind of more than morally ambiguous. He seems to be somewhat of an evil fella, even though he's on friendly terms with Rick.
I think it shows that there is that kind of duality of nature in a lot of people.
But mainly in French people.
They're kind of spiky in French sometimes.
Spiky and fucking French.
Yeah. Again, an Eddie Izzard quote.
Yeah. We're going to do that a lot. Just get used to it. This is going to be an Eddie Izzard podcast by the end.
Also not sponsored by Eddie Izzard.
I don't care. I will advertise for Eddie Izzard all day long.
He is the most wonderful person.
He's lovely.
Yeah. Anyway.
I got to see him live a couple. Well, you were there for one of them.
For one of them, yes.
Yeah. I saw him live twice.
Majeure.
Yes. Well, he's been doing Force Majeure for years. I don't think he's... Oh, he does have a new one. Mm-hmm. He started a new one recently, but he did Force Majeure for years. But he was going to come to the States, but then COVID, God damn it. stopped it from happening.
COVID ruins everything.
Yes, including a Tim Minchin. Tim Minchin was supposed to come to the East Coast of America, play for us. But no.
Anyway, so back to Casablanca. We could talk about Tim Minchin and Mr. Izzard all day long.
Indeed. And so I will. Okay, so, about the gambling.
Yes.
How did they rig it so quickly? Just Rick was like, I mean, I guess.
22.
Yeah, he was just like, 22. And the guy was like, okay, I can make that happen.
I don't know. I'm sure they have ways.
He's got a 22 pedal underneath the table.
I did not look. Magnets, perhaps? Like a magnetic ball?
Well, I would figure, but I just don't know how Rick was just able to call out a number and he can all of a sudden make that happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't look up roulette
Rigging?
and rigging. One, because I wasn't sure how that information would serve me. But two, I'm pretty sure there is a way for it to be rigged. I just don't know.
You know, it'd be an interesting thing to test. Do a lot of Google searching for how to rig Vegas games, and then go to Vegas and see if they know
you're
about
like
it.
watching you.
Yeah.
Card counting for beginners.
Advanced card counting.
Yeah.
Anywho, I just thought that was interesting that he was able to. Maybe that's always the number. If he wants to cheat for someone, he just go for 22.
Maybe like very small bumpers come up on the other numbers.
But I'm just wondering how he was able to call out that specific number and have that work, unless that's always the number he has to cheat with.
In which case, I'm always betting 22.
But yeah, and that just seems weird that people that are regulars there would hear that.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he's ever cheating, go for 22. That always seems to hit. I'm going 22.
Yeah. That's how they go bankrupt.
Anywho. So there's that. We can talk. Let me go to the scene where, this one, right? Oh, firstly, hang on. The lady that sang, I just want to talk about her voice.
Oh, I very much of the time. It's kind of like this fake opera. She warbles.
Too much warbling.
He's under arrest for murder. He was arrested here tonight. I see. But we who are still free will do all we can. They're organized, monsieur. Underground, like everywhere else. Tomorrow night there's a meeting at the Cavern du Roi. If you will come...
And I don't know if that... I just feel like that was... Did they do that because she wasn't a good singer? And they were like, just warble, and no one will notice.
Well, no, if you look at other movies of the time that have singers, they have that kind of presentation. Like, it's almost like a opera kind of sound to it. It's just... I think it's of its time. Like, if you listen to Edith Piaf, she has a warble.
As I do constantly. Who is that?
There's a song called La Vie en Rose. It's pretty much in every World War II movie you've ever seen.
Oh, okay. Can you sing a little...
No, but I can cue it up.
Yeah. I'm interested. Actually, so we can get it close to the mic, since we still don't have a proper setup for recording these things. Pull it up here. What's that app called? YouTube? Anyway, after we do this, I wanted to talk. The reason I was going to this particular part of the movie is I wanted to talk about the discussion between Sam and the lady fella. See, and I guess it's just the type of recording or the limitations of the recording equipment.
It's a little tinny.
It's like... It just sounds so dismal.
Des yeux qui font baisser les miens, un rire qui se perd sur sa bouche, voilà le portrait sans retouche.
She's not abusing it, though. That sounds lovely.
Well, yeah, but it still has that warble.
Yes,
kinda.
but I mean, she's got the vibrato at the end of her line, like she's like that sort of thing. But
she's trailing off.
Yeah, but I mean that's fine. That's an artistic choice. What this lady was doing in Casablanca was just like,
I think it's to have that kind of operatic feel, more theatrical.
Right. Well, anyway. So let's look at this scene between Sam and lady fella. Mm-hmm. What's her name?
Ilsa?
Is that the character or the actor?
Ingrid.
Ingrid? Is that the character or the actor?
Ingrid is the actress.
Oh, okay.
Ingrid Bergman.
And the character?
Ilsa.
Didn't we, Burger? Also, what is it with the accents in this movie? Nobody's accent is right. Not even the American.
Some are French, some are... I think it's talking about, multiculturalism.
I guess. But the French guy sounded English. Like he had a little bit of flavor of French in there sometimes.
Well, I think people are cautiously not trying to overdo a character like Pepe Le Pew, kind of.
Or maybe they thought that this is for an American audience, so tone it down, Frenchie.
Yeah. But they also didn't subtitle any of the French conversation.
Which I did like.
Yeah.
I like that they made you guess and just watch their body language. You're actually watching it as you are. You understand what you can understand.
Yeah. True.
Here we go.
Yes, ma'am. A lot of water under the bridge.
Some of the old songs, Sam.
Yes, ma'am.
Been a long...
My bill. No. Yes, ma'am.
Go blast it.
Please. Yes, sir.
Hello, Sam.
Hello, Miss Elsa. I never expect to see you again.
It's been a long time.
Yes, ma'am. A lot of water under the bridge.
Some of the old songs, Sam.
Yes, ma'am.
Just what did you think about their interaction? And earlier, she called him boy.
Yeah, I have a note on that.
Like, he's 40 years old. He's a grown man.
Yeah,
What's the matter with you?
I think that is of its time, very much of its time, or his station to her.
Yeah.
But that it's still, yeah, he is a man. And so maybe say, bring over the pianist or the musician.
He's slightly balding. You're calling him a boy.
He's older than you.
I just thought that was relatively disgusting. But
Yeah, no. So when we talk about problems of the film being of its time, that is one that's a little jarring now for us.
Yeah.
Still, like when we looked at Breakfast Club, there was a lot of slurs that were used in Breakfast Club. So I found it interesting that
Brownie Hound?
I'm
never going to get over Brownie Hound until someone tells me what it means.
No, I was talking more about three-letter disparaging.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yes, you do. Slur against LGBTQ identifying individuals. Right. And so I found that to be because there was only the one instance in 1942, only one instance in Casablanca that made me feel like, ooh, don't like that.
What was that moment?
When she called him boy.
Yeah.
And then in this, 1985 Breakfast Club, it was like every other word. I'm like, ooh, how? Stop it.
Well, they said that three-letter word a couple times. Mm-hmm. Did it? I don't think any of the characters said it to any of the other characters, unless I'm misremembering.
There's one instance.
Okay, because I remember it being on the locker, but it was his locker, as if someone was saying that to him, so he was the victim of it. Or he did it to his own locker, which I think is also plausible.
Mm-hmm. Well, he put it on his own locker as a threat, like that ... so-and-so. Like he was like, yeah.
That's possible too.
Yeah.
Anyway, there were definitely some things in Breakfast Club that were questionable.
Yeah, but boy, when she called him a boy, I think that was the only time that we had this kind of divisive dialogue.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. There was not a whole lot in here that was symbolic of...
The Nazis were bad enough. We didn't need anything else.
Everyone was trying to be real friendly other than that. And I also, another thing that bumped me about his character was he was the only one, I think, that was calling Rick Sir. And it just seemed like he was more. I mean, it is of the time. It was the 40s.
I think they called him like Mr. Rick or something like
Yeah,
that.
they would call him by his name, and he was like, "Oh yes, sir," and like he would said to Ilsa or Elba or whatever her name is, Elbow.
Elbow Berman.
That's a great name. He was saying no, ma'am to her, and it smacked of servile speech.
Yeah, but Rick also has a specific line that says, "I'm not in the business of buying and selling people."
Yeah, that's nice, and it's clear that he was later on when it was the dark scene. He was crying about Elbow, Sam
Macaroni.
Elbow Macaroni. Yeah, that's her new name. He comes up to him and comforts Sam comforts Rick and such and stays there, but he calls him boss the whole time.
Yeah,
And like he's not going to leave, and it made me cringe because it's nice, and I want to believe it was because they had a good friendship, but it mainly feels like he's a loyal servant.
yeah, I get that, and I do wonder about their relationship because we never really get the background of how Sam and Rick came together.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted something to put my mind at rest that they are just friends, and he's talking in a way that it feels more like that just because it's of the time, and that's how, I don't know, it still doesn't feel right, but at least I would have known that they were friends.
He did defy him, though. Like, he wasn't afraid to defy him. Like, when Rick was telling him to go away, and he's like, nope, stick around.
Yeah, well, I don't mean to bring this up again, but it's the other 40s movie that comes to mind. It's a Wonderful Life. The black servant that the Jimmy Stewart's family had defies them and pokes fun and has jabs of her own, but she's still the house servant.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not saying it's not, they allow him opportunities to leave Rick, and he chooses not to.
Yeah.
Then again, I don't know his life, his background,
Yeah.
or I want to know more. Sam is a very interesting character. I want to know more about Sam.
Interesting. Yes, I suppose. As well as, I mean, I guess on the same level that anybody in this movie is interesting, because one criticism that I read, which actually isn't a criticism, I actually listened to Steven Spielberg talk about it, and he was saying that everybody is over the top theatrical archetype of a person or a personality.
Mm-hmm. They are kind of extreme versions of themselves.
And so there's not a lot of depth to anybody, except for maybe Rick.
Him having his breakdown in front of Sam, I think, was a humanizing moment for him. If she can stand it, so can I.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, and he's not the only character that's conflicted, but he is conflicted. He's got the good and the bad, the cynical and the disregarding of rules and morality, but also in his heart, he wants to be on the right side. Mm-hmm. So there is complexity to his character. I'm wondering if there's complexity to Sam. I don't know that there is.
They don't allow much of a character.
He's a side character, so there's only so much complexity, I guess, that a side character can have.
Same with the bartender and the maitre d' of the they're not given the opportunity to show themselves more. Which is unfortunate because I think those characters are intriguing. Like the scene where Rick is, again, after he helps the young man win the gambling bet, we see the maitre d' and the bartender, he's showing his good character kind of thing.
I'm going to harp on about the gambling. I told him to bet on 22 twice.
Mm-hmm. Let it ride on 22.
And he won both times. I would have immediately known this is cheats.
Yeah. Well,
this can't happen. The balance of probability of a dude telling you do 22 twice in a row, you're going to win both, and he does. Mm-hmm. Get out of town. Get right out of Casablanca.
Yeah, which is what they did.
Well,
to Lisbon.
They were like, "You cheated. I'm out of here."
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And then is this place ethical? As the day is long.
Yes. So anyway, that's what I had to say.
That?
Yes, that was half Urkel and half.
Did you do that?
Did I do that? Yes. And half.
Have the cousin of Stan.
No, it was half Eddie Izzard.
Oh,
Because there's a bit where he's in between jokes and he doesn't remember where to go and he's like, yes, well,
this is all true.
this is all true. Exactly. Yeah. Well, there you go. So what else do I have to say? Let me scan through here. So you tell me that they didn't know if they were supposed to be in love for most of the movie.
Yes.
And yet they're here on a little car ride. She's got her head on his shoulders.
Still in love, I should say. Like, they don't know how in love they really should have been.
I see. I think that comes across.
Yeah, they're non-committal love.
Yeah, I mean, at what point is there a moment before she admits that she loves him again? Which is near the end of the movie, I think. That's when they're on the couch in his room, if I remember correctly. Is there a moment before that you were really like, oh yeah, these guys have a real chemistry?
Well, the jarring kind of... have you ever seen two people who have broken up enter the same room and that kind of awkward electricity that kind of happens?
Well, I didn't get electricity. I got awkward.
Yeah.
I got like, this is an ex of mine. I don't want to see her.
Yeah, and she was scared to see him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. I thought it was a good misdirect. Well, I don't know if it was even a misdirect, but a mystery of why she left him. Because I didn't know that there was going to be any more depth, and I doubted there would. Mm-hmm. This was just me being cynical about the movie. I was like, wow, they better have a really good reason why she left him, because that's just stupid.
Because her husband was actually alive.
I know, and I thought that it was a good twist. I liked it.
When you also think about the slowness of information sharing at that time,
they couldn't get a tweet unless they were in,
they
on
had a
Wi-Fi.
pigeon.
Yeah, well. So I thought that was nice, and I thought that was a good, valid reason why she would have left somebody that she loved. Mm-hmm. So I guess it's plausible that they could have still had feelings for each other, but when they were together, I don't know that I ever detected that.
You know who I never got over getting back together was Odysseus and Penelope. He was gone for so long.
How long? 10 years or something like that?
Yeah, like just an obscene amount of time.
And she had suitors
She had suitors who were hounding her and eating their kingdom poor and partying till... And, it wasn't that, any of them actually loved her. They just all wanted to be king because it's good to be the king.
I agree.
But yeah, imagine him coming back and finding out about the, Pink Lotus incident and the goddesses. And it's like, you had an odyssey of exploitation. And I'm sitting here trying to host all of these suitors. Get out of here.
It was a different time back then, wasn't it? Homeric times.
Certainly. Gosh.
Gender roles were not quite as progressive as they are now in Homeric times.
No, he would have probably been imbibing on a drought of poison after a certain amount of time. A little harder to divorce.
And what was his son's name? Was it Odysseus' son? It's not Paris. It's not.
I thought it was something like that.
I thought it was a P
like
name.
Prince or
Pap smear, pasteurized milk. Patroclus.
Telemachus? I do not remember
That's
that.
not the one. He must have other sons.
Pylus.
Is it Pylus? Is that the one I'm talking about? I mean, that's a P
No,
word.
he visited Pylus. His wife was Penelope. I remembered that.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking P. I
Yeah.
don't know. Telemachus? Telemachus?
Telegonus.
That doesn't sound Greek.
I don't remember that. And I've read the
I mean,
Odyssey.
obviously
I read
the
the Iliad and the Odyssey.
Yeah, same. Well, I mean, it's been a long time. I need to reread them. By
And
the way,
I also saw the Wishbone special.
I have. Oh, that's nice. I only have one. I think he only did one. I've got the audiobooks for the Iliad and the Odyssey, but Ian McKellen read, I think, the Iliad.
So he had 2 sons, Telemachus and Telegonus. I only remember the one son for some reason.
I only remember the one son also, and I don't remember his name at all. But I just remember him getting all uppity about his mom.
Break out my tray. Oh yeah. Yeah, he's like, Mom, get rid of these jokers.
Yeah. And she was just like, I don't know, maybe I'll like him.
Well, no, I'm working on my tapestry.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Anyway, what are we talking about here? This is a movie podcast.
Good reasons to leave a spouse or good.
Yeah, if they go on a 10-year odyssey, then
yeah,
you can leave them.
But and news traveling slow.
So are we saying that Laszlo was on an odyssey?
Well, he.
So she should have left that Joker.
No, it was just that she got word that he was dead, and it just took so long for them to clarify. Not dead, actually, at a concentration camp. And so it was a good reason for her to be dating around, but also the reason why it was acceptable for her to break Bogey's heart.
Yes. And, and I wanted to say that I liked Laszlo's attitude because he knew something was going on from the very beginning.
Oh yeah,
and he didn't pressure her about it.
No,
and even after he knew exactly what was going on, it's not like he was overbearing at all. And I don't know if that was a function of them trying to write him as a morally good character, or if they were saying he's just so French he doesn't care.
No, I think it was a symbol of his goodness, and the reason why it was important for Ilsa to stay with him, because he was more of a leader with her at his side.
I just have to say again, I just loved that scene where he came in and sang. Mm-hmm. That was so beautiful. Oh God! I mean, actually, I had a tear. It forced a tear out of my duct.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. Only one tear? Come on.
No, I cry at everything. There was several tears. Let's be real.
Yeah. No, I had a good tear, and I didn't even wipe it away. I kept it.
And I feel like the ending was so well done and much better than the Simpsons alternate ending of Casablanca.
What season is that from?
I don't remember the season.
I made the bold claim earlier today that I know all Simpsons before, and including season 5.
So I'm going to play the sound clip for you. Hopefully it will pick up.
Louis, I think this could be the start of a beautiful friendship.
Look out, Rick! He's packing heat!
Good work, Sam. Come on, I'll buy you a falafel.
Not so fast, Schottenheimer!
Hitler has just jumped out of a piano.
Not at all, sweetcakes. You know what to do, Sam.
Wait, she's not on the plane?
She jumped out of the plane. She parachuted down to kill Hitler.
I was laughing so much about Hitler on a piano. Yeah. I don't remember that. What season was it?
I will look that up.
All right, because I want to maintain my credentials as someone who knows Simpsons prior to season 6. Anyway.
Earlier you said 5.
No, I'm saying prior to season 6. So 5 and before.
Okay. Oh, I see what you mean.
All right, so let's see what else we can talk about here. Of course, there were some inconsistencies with the movie, but we won't get into that, and that's just cheap. All movies have goofs and gaffes. Do you know what the... no, I'm not going to save that for the game. I've got a game after this for Allyson to play. I'm just vamping right now while she looks something up. Don't want to step on her toes here. You know what? I'm going to play that scene. I'm going to play the singy scene. Oh, here's the scene you were looking for with the... I like that line a lot. What's Captain Renault like? Oh, he's like any other man, except more so. Warbly lady gets back into it.
Season 9, episode 25, Natural Born Kissers.
See, this is what I'm saying. I don't understand things that happen after season 5.
Technically, you failed that test earlier by not getting a reference from an episode in season 4 earlier.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Anyway, so.
All right, so this is the sing-song scene.
The Germans are getting Germanic.
As Germans are wont to do. Look at him, walking up with determination. We're going to be playing this song. Look at the Germans. Come on. Go louder. Go more Germanic. Ah, jeez. This guy gives up.
Mm-hmm. This man, he never gives up.
So there's a tear. I believe that's real. I believe that's also true for Laszlo. I think he was actually a survivor. Beautiful scene. And a beautiful ending to the scene, honestly. Him shutting down the bar.
Everybody is to leave here immediately. This cafe is closed until further notice. Clear the room at once.
How can he close me up? On what ground?
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here. You're winning, sir. Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
That is the best. I loved that.
Oh, he sets himself up to be this great jerk, though. Like, oh, it's a fun game we play at this bar. I say, put it on my bill, and then I tear up my bill. It's great fun.
You know what? I never found it in myself to hate him, though. He was actually so lovable for some reason.
It's because he was very honest about his type of character, I feel like. I feel like if he was, like, in denial about who he is.
Or trying to hide it from other people.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, so that was that scene. Do you want to witness them kiss?
I mean, we can. We absolutely can. It is a pivotal scene.
It's quite pivotal. All right, I'm going to pivot this microphone here.
Pivot?
So look at the shadow on his shirt, and it's gone. Check it again. Oh, here's the kiss. Look at it. Stare at it. And the searchlight. That implies pregnancy. So look at the shadow on his shirt.
This often happens with kissing.
The top of the shoulders, and it's gone. Is that bad editing? Is that the stagehand? Whose fault? Who do I blame?
Well, I think it's because he's hiding himself and his personality and then willing to expose himself to Ilsa.
Oh, that's beautiful, because when he faces her, all of a sudden his shirt gets lighter.
Yeah.
Like she's the lightness.
Exactly. When she left, there was no light in his world.
But interpret it this way. She isn't her own person. She is merely an accessory for his personality. He becomes lighter with her, and I think that's degrading to women everywhere.
Sure.
Because she's not her own person. She's just an accessory. Which actually is the case, kind of.
She is nothing but an extension of the man she is with.
Yeah.
She is the reason why Laszlo is great.
Yeah. She doesn't matter, except as it affects the great man. Mm-hmm. Disgusting. I'm repulsed. Repulsed. I'm repulsed and revolted.
He's
I'm repulsed.
a lot of things.
I have sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry. All of a sudden, I'm Canadian.
Well, I didn't know that, and I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right. Well, I think the only other pivotal thing Well, we could talk about when Rick was sticking up the Frenchman,
Captain Renault.
Captain Renault. But we don't have to.
Well, there's one thing I would like to address, which is
Uh-huh.
Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah. Oh, is he a sex symbol? Yay.
Literally about where I was
Sure, why not?
I do not think so.
No, he's ugly.
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to call him an uggo, but I think the only thing that made him attractive to women of the time was that confidence, that air
Sure.
of confidence,
Yeah.
which I don't particularly find that attractive now because his confidence came at the bereavement of other people.
Still sexy.
Nah. It's negging.
It's like Bender. It's like Bender from Breakfast Club.
Negging.
Yeah.
Negging.
So sexy. Bender was sexy.
But
There is
Bender-
no denying that. Smoking is cool, and Humphrey Bogart is sexy. And he's
Hands
ugly.
up to your nipples. Sexy.
Yes, he's got the pants up to your nipples kind of look, doesn't he? He's got his tie dialed up to 11.
Yeah, that film noir nipple pants.
That was a good Family Guy version of that. Had it all the way up here.
High-waisted young old man.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the confidence, it's not just berating other people. It's kind of just being cool in the face of pressure, smoking your cigarette. Well, I'm just going
It'd be fucking cool.
just gonna sit here and ciao.
Like you're riding a Vespa.
Yeah, just ciao.
Another Eddie Izzard
Yeah.
segment. Anyway, but yeah, it just...
So I think he's a valid sex symbol, even though he's ugly. And I think he is ugly.
I don't think he's ugly. I think he just...
Big head, big face.
Big face, little body.
Wasn't there a guy on that makeup reality show we used to watch, Face Off, that I always said had a big face or a small face? Couldn't really figure it out. His face was not the right size, though.
I just remember you hating one woman very vehemently who had kind of a sad backstory. You're like, your talent is mediocre. Your backstory is why you're here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember her. She had some sort of disease. It was like a...
Well, that's a horrible reason to mock someone.
Well, I'm not mocking her because she's got a disease. I'm mocking her because she got farther than her talent should have allowed.
Yeah. Yeah. But, yeah.
I think it's valid.
This is also the second time we brought this up on the podcast, that you don't like people with sad stories. Just like pull up your talent or go away.
Look, there is a time and a place to weep about somebody's sad backstory.
Reminds me of
It's not a talent show.
John Mulaney's skit where he was talking about the Ray Charles story, and he was dating a woman at the time. He said, "Oh, I thought the death of his brother was a little much," and because it was a biopic, he's like, "Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't great for Ray Charles either."
That's right. Yeah. He's a funny comic. I like him.
Yeah.
I think you introduced me to him.
I did. I love him.
I was resistant. There are a few comedians. I'm pretty snobby and picky when it comes to comedians. I love stand-up comedy, but there are a lot of them out there that are just middle of the road and they feel kind of white bread, just very plain. And I thought he was one of them, and he is to an extent, but I think he's got kind of a Jerry Seinfeld vibe, where he's telling kind of the jokes are relatively clean. I mean, he's not as clean as Jerry Seinfeld, but he's just got some sort of presence to him that feels edgy and fun.
Yeah, I appreciate that kind of just dry, like I'm just having a conversation and not paying attention to the fact that I'm landing these jokes.
Yeah. Anywho,
So I'm going to give it the Allyson rating if we're ready for that, unless you...
oh my God, did we skip that? I think the Allyson rating is supposed to be at the beginning.
So the Allyson rating is a 10 out of 10
Well,
for the nostalgia.
This is the nostalgia rating. Oh, so you give it 10 nostalgias out of 10. Mm-hmm. All right. And
I think most of the ones I'm assigning you, I'm assigning a 10 out of 10 for nostalgia.
oh, that's fair enough. I mean, some of them can be better or worse than others. You can still think they're great without thinking they're perfect. Mm-hmm. So 10 nostalgias out of 10. Now, having seen it more recently, how many roses would you give it out of 12?
I would say it is a perfect bouquet.
A perfect bukkake.
Yeah. Ew.
Excuse me. Bouquet.
gross.
What even would it mean to be a perfect bukkake?
Do not send us images to it.
Yeah. I don't care if there's a perfectbukkake.com. I don't want to see it.
No. Not to yuck your yums, but ew.
Yeah, no, I did. Your yums are gross. Anyway, so I shall tell you now that I give it.
Drum roll, please.
I'm still thinking. Hang on. I didn't write it down. I'm going off of my whims. I give it 9 out of 12.
Wow. I think that is 1 point higher than you did Breakfast Club. I think you gave it an 8.5. We will have to review. We're going to have to start keeping track of your rating.
We should write them down somewhere, yes. So we can have an average, maybe. See how you're doing.
I'll add it to my Excel sheet.
Indeed. If at some point we have a fan of this show, I make it incumbent upon you, keep track of these things for us.
Yeah. For our one fan, we love you.
We love you so much. Don't leave.
No, do come in. You're the only one today.
Church of England, Eddie Izzard, get with it. So I'd say yes, 9 out of 12 roses.
Very good.
Yep, I thought it was good.
That is a good score.
Yeah,
Solid.
It was a solid movie. Well, more than a solid movie, obviously. It was a great movie. I thought it showed cracks of its time. I thought the pacing was very good. It wasn't a slow movie. Again, I thought the camera work may have had something to do with it. It was a very energetic feeling movie because of the camera work. I thought the characters could have used more fleshing out. I thought the characterization of Sam bumped me a little bit, just in how he was portrayed. But, that's of the time. It could hardly have expected to be different, but it is what it is. That was very good. Music at the beginning needs to go away. The warbly lady needs to be removed.
All of 1940s music. Get out of here.
Get out of here. I can't think of, other than that, I really can't think of much that should have been taken out of the movie. I think they should have made Elbow a little bit more a person rather than an accessory. Which I think they could have done for the time. I mean, again, to go back to another 1940s movie, We Will Rock You. What's the name of that? I always have trouble accessing it immediately. Christmas in the Cerebus. Always Sunny in...
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life. Thank you. I don't know how I lose it so fast.
When you said rock, it threw me off. I was like, rock?
What did I say?
You said like School of Rock or something like that.
I don't know. I lost it that quickly. Anyway, I've lost it again. It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so anyway, It's a Wonderful Life. The women in that, obviously there are portrayals that would embarrass a modern movie perhaps, but...
Like naming your child Zuzu or whatever.
Yeah, that is goofy.
Yeah.
Every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings.
Zach really doesn't like children actors, you should know.
Yeah, that's true.
He really didn't care for, I think it was the girl in Narnia.
Oh my God. That still makes me upset. Disgusting. Horrible child actor.
Did not love her.
Should have been hung.
Ooh.
I mean, hanged, sorry.
Ooh. It's not better.
Oh, sorry. She should have been electric chair. What more
just
humane?
not cast.
Oh, not cast. That's fine. If I can go back in time.
I think she was fine. I think she, little Lucy Pevins was cute.
No.
All right. Anyway. For another day, perhaps.
We're not watching that movie.
No, I know we're not, but maybe like Matilda or something.
I love Matilda.
Oh, good.
Matilda was one of my favorite movies growing up.
Oh, okay. So
Bees Knees. I've seen the play, actually, that was written by Tim Minchin.
I did not know that.
Yep, saw it in London.
But I've seen him performing one of the songs from it, but that makes a lot more sense now.
Yep, he wrote it.
Very cool. Anyway, so next time
on Dragon Ball Z,
we will be exploring a great summer film that has made people scared to
Laugh.
go swimming.
And cry.
Also that. And anytime you have a reaction where a piece of seaweed touches your toe in the water, instantly you think you're going to die. Thanks to this film.
And they did it to me when I was a young little baby boy. I saw
Cookie toe?
Yep, I saw it when I was, I don't know, 7 or 8, something like that. But I closed my eyes for most of the movie, so I didn't really take it in.
So if you could not tell based upon our kind of light clues, we will be watching Jaws.
Oh, yeah. Did we not actually say that? I was
No.
just kind of going ahead as if we had.
I was giving little clues, and then you went on your little boy's tangent. And
Sometimes I'll go on a little boy's tangent. A little tangent bicycle.
So join us next time where we enjoy an undersea water adventure.
Jaws 3D.
Well, Jaws regular D.
What? We're not going to watch it in 3D?
Well,
What about our fancy
Jaws
3D
3D
glasses?
is not the first movie.
But
There is a Jaws 3D, but that's like the third movie.
is it the best one?
No,
Oh.
the first one's the best one.
3D movies are always better than none.
Anyway, so join us next time where we discuss the merits of hokey 3D technology.
Okay, give your what you assume or what you remember your love of it to be back when you first saw it. What's your nostalgia rating? Probably a 10 out of 10. I'd assume.
Yeah, pretty much. It is a wonderful film that touches on so many different elements of thriller horror genre. It is a movie that had a singular impact to an entire aquatic species. Like, this is a huge.
So it was big in the shark community.
Well, no,
loved
the impact on there was a negative one where people wanted to hunt the sharks.
Well, Eddie Izzard wants to hunt sharks. He had a whole thing about it. He said, "Kill the sharks. They're the Nazis of the sea."
Well, they're more like the garbage men of the sea. Like
Dead eyes, 6 rows of teeth, whatever it is. He hates them.
well, they do. I swimmy like kid chased by sharky shark. No, it's they perform a necessary service to aquatic life. Sharks are necessary. They're like bees are necessary.
Well, a better analogy, I think, would have been that spiders.
Yeah, well, spiders. Yeah, spiders, bees, sharks, all necessary, all terrifying.
What about hornets?
Hornets, I think, are just jerks.
Yeah, kill them all.
Hornets and wasps.
They're the Nazis of the sky.
Anyway, so not to get into like an etymology conversation because I'm not very well versed in it.
Yeah.
But from my understanding, they just keep population of other species down.
Is it entomology?
Entomology.
Entomology.
Yeah, I may have misspoke. I'm sorry.
Well, you said etymology, which is, I guess, a different etymology than entomology.
Anyway, insects bad, people good.
Insects bad, people good, sharks. Well, we'll see.
Have you ever seen some like of the baby sharks? They're kind of cute.
People have said that. I don't know. Baby alligators are cute.
Yeah, they are having a little smile.
Yeah.
They like having their necks massaged.
I haven't seen that. That's adorable.
Yeah. Anyway, so off topic. We'll see you next time when we watch Jaws.
All right. Thank you. I have been Zachary.
This is Allyson. Our music today and last episode, our theme music, is brought to you by Julian Crowhurst of juliancrowhurst.com. Thank you, Julian, for the wonderful, wonderful intro music.
I love you.
Zach loves you. I think you're fine.
She's a lovely person.
I love your music.
All right. Well,
I love you as a human.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to Rose Tinted Reels. This has been the Casablanca episode, and I love you very much. Good night.
Good night and good luck.
And good luck.